Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a live Run Roast podcast right here in the new ATR network. I have to remember we have a new name now for this network. I should know that one because I'm the one who started it. And as you guys can see today, we do have a small crew tonight, as my tag team partner for tonight is the fantastic, magnificent, stupendous, marvelous ring announcer. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
Don't think you're getting off that easy, I'll tell you that. So.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You know who you can't get off? Steve off.
Exactly. First of all, I'm doing great. It's, a little chilly here in the Northeast because, Mother Nature decided to apparently flip the wrong deck. But I'm going to kick it off by saying I got a bone to pick with you, sir.
We actually have, let me just get to a quick, we actually have a person who's watching us, Steve Jordan. Steve, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you doing tonight, buddy? But Ryan, before I get to that, I do want to mention one quick thing. We do have two fantastic guests joining us tonight.
No, we're changing it up. I'm going right out the gate.
Okay.
So, for those that don't follow Mr. Blaine on social media, he does a last-minute, hype up video late last night talking about the show tonight. And what we're going to be talking about. But from someone in my perspective, I kind of noticed something a little interesting here. That some of the topics that he was talking about, which was him going to ISPW and Immortal Championship Wrestling, but apparently he went into somewhat little more detail about each event, and then decided to throw in, Ryan Peterson also ring announced went to Wrestle Pro and Invictus. Like, really?
Okay.
Talk about narcissism right there, buddy. Talk about narcissism. Because, again, you're talking about, I sat, the front row, saw an awesome cage match, which was great, by the way, from what I heard. And then, going to Immortal Championship Wrestling, the ride up there was fantastic and whatnot. The show was great. And then the other esteemed co-host who actually does this shit in wrestling, announcing, said, and he was at Invictus and Wrestle Pro. Just kind of pushing it off to the side. Pretty much, No, I agree, Steve.
And apparently, Ryan, you do have a fan.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. At least someone acknowledges me.
Ryan.
And doesn't use the proverbial hook on me.
Right.
So I guess now the show's going to be called the Around North Podcast, starring John Blaine and the Little Tiny Letters featuring Ryan Peterson.
Can I go now?
Yeah, you can go out that door.
Okay. First of all, I apologize to you when I saw you earlier today at work about that.
What's that? Huh? Some people don't know that term.
Oh, okay. Not exactly. Steve is a host of a show called the Rockabilly Fireman Show. Okay.
Which is actually interesting because I have a few family members that actually were firemen back in the day.
Yeah, Steve, definitely we love to be guests on.
But go ahead, continue your bullshit explanation. I love to hear this.
I apologize to you, and I explained to you. Okay, we're going to pull the curtain back here, folks, okay?
We always do.
Yeah.
Why don't we pull back the curtain? Just focus on me, John.
Yes. What happened was...
Focus on me.
What happened was, when I do those videos, I don't plan them out. I kind of go off them at the spur of the moment. And when you have ADD like I do, you get really confused really quickly.
I just thought it was kind of funny that you talked more into details about the places that you went to, yet when someone else decided to go to other shows that probably, I'm not saying they were, but, saying their shows were better, you kind of give them the little, they were very nice, hook, now back to me.
Again, I apologize.
What's that term that I was ever taught growing up? Think before you speak?
Yes, and again, I'm going to say this out on the air right now. Going further, when I do those hype videos, I'm actually going to take, oh, look, I have a pen. I'm going to write out exactly what I'm going to say.
Oh my goodness! Wow! Bring up the band! He's actually doing something!
Okay, can we get on with the show now?
Oh shit, we have a show. Wait, we're live?
Yes.
Oh shit, we're live.
Guys, joining us at the bottom of the hour is colleague of Ryan over at Invictus. He's also the commentator for Titan Championship Wrestling. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Alphonse Stevens, makes his debut on the show. And at 9:15, friend of the show, because I think I can call him at this point because we've had him on. This will be number 3 we've had him on for.
I think once you pass 2, you're fine.
He is another ring announcer, and this Saturday he will be ring announcing for ISPW as they present their 80s WrestleCon show, their convention beforehand, and then the show afterwards, which will see the main event of Bull James putting on the ISPW Championship against Rick Recon, and Dave LaGreca and Maven will be handcuffed together, so there's no outside interference. So we'll definitely get into all that. We do have a lot of other stuff to get to. We have a lot of independent wrestling to get to, as myself and Ryan were both at shows this weekend. Ryan was at Invictus and Wrestle Pro. He was actually working those shows. I happened to be at ISPW and Immortal Championship Wrestling those 2 days, so we'll definitely get into that. And yeah, let me just get to some more of the comments that we got coming in here. Steve Jordan says, awesome. David Zubin chimes in and goes, hello, Ryan and John. Hello, David Zubin. How are you doing? Steve turns around and goes, hands Ryan a soda pop and giggles.
Huh?
I don't know.
I don't know. But before
and
we
the last comment is Rich. Yes, folks, Rich Reed is also the co-host for them, which we'll definitely get into with him when he joins us at hour number 2. But guys, I want to get right into it because we do have some professional wrestling to get into before we get to what happened in the local independent scene. And Ryan, I think the best way to start this off, let's start off what happened on Wednesday night.
Yeah, so Wednesday Night Dynamite was in beautiful Sunrise, Florida, home of the Florida Panthers, who beat those bastardly Bruins from Boston in the NHL playoffs. Yeah. Adam Cole decides to come out and call out the Ocho, Chris Jericho, because they're building. We all know they're building up for them at Double or Nothing. We're calling it right now.
Oh yeah.
And Chris Jericho's on the screen. In other words, he wasn't in attendance. He was doing a Fozzy concert in another state. Let's call a spade here. All of a sudden, here comes the Jericho Appreciation Society comes down and starts beating up Adam Cole. And then who comes out? I think it was Orange Cassidy and Bandito, who earlier in the night had a phenomenal AEW International Championship match to kick off Dynamite. And then, of course, it's a 4-on-3 disadvantage for the 3 of them. But all of a sudden, for some fans, a familiar music hits. And as we look on the screen, first of all, the letters are wrong. I'll get to that in a bit. But when they finally say the full name, holy shit, it's someone we haven't heard from in a long time, Rodrick Strong.
Yes.
But according to some fans who actually watched the graphic, they thought it was Sean Ross Sapp.
I'll say this right now. I think I called you that night.
Yeah, you did. And almost spoiled it for me.
Because I was sitting there, and now, folks, the funny thing about it is nobody had heard about anything with Rodrick Strong. Last thing we had heard, and I think WWE is still reported it now, that, he's injured.
Yeah. Like, that's by the way, that's not Rodrick Strong that we saw on Dynamite. It was no, I'm not gonna say it. It kind of sounds dirty.
Good boy. But the thing is, supposedly from what I read in reports, is supposedly his contract had expired back in November. And basically he took time off to heal up because, I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, if you've been a wrestling fan for a while, a lot of the guys who work for WWE and AEW tend to not have a lot of time off. I think they're home, 1 or 2 days a week normally? If
that.
And that him coming to AEW was actually, because if you notice, he was Now, mind you, folks, like I said before, he was a free agent as of November. He didn't appear in AEW till April. There's a reason for that. That was when AEW was making their return to Florida. And they wanted it to make it very easy for him so that there was no suspicion that he was going to debut. Because
also the fact that, the guy is, I think, almost 40.
Yes.
And he's been through so much, over the years in wrestling. So 5 months will not kill you the rest of your body.
Yeah. Steve actually chimes in here with a comment on the whole Rodrick Strong thing. He goes, he was either running the indie circuit or had he's right.
No,
I'm saying
no, he was never advertised for anything.
No, I think what Steve's trying to say is that in Rodrick Strong's career.
Steve, Phil, chime in if you were talking about, when he took the break from WWE or whatnot.
Because personally, I thought it was a fantastic thing to see Rodrick Strong back. Oh, yeah. I always felt in WWE, Rodrick Strong was never used the right way.
No.
Especially when they put him in Diamond Mine, which, by the way, do you realize now every person that was in the original Diamond Mine concept are all gone?
Pretty much.
He goes, I know he was. Okay.
Okay, I don't know, no idea what that was referring to, but
he could have done indie shows in Florida.
Then he would have been advertised for it.
It may not have been a big promotion.
Doesn't matter. People have cameras nowadays.
Good point. But
listen, I think their kid is like 1.
Yeah, I've met his wife before.
Yes, we both have. Because I think also she works with AEW.
Yeah, but she does more like AEW Dark than anything.
Well, I mean, she's kind of building up something, but that's another story.
Yeah, it's another story for another day. But
I was saying this to you earlier. What I definitely liked about this was that there was no leaks or anything. No saying, Fightful Select reported that they were found backstage eating chicken wings and catering. Oh, this one was eating a vegetarian platter. Oh, this one was hugging the Young Bucks. What are they doing there? There's stupid shit like that. Nothing was said about Rodrick Strong at all, and that is what I feel like. And that is what I feel like, with all these surprises that AEW has, they were kind of ruined by these so-called news outlets that kind of ruined the surprises for us.
Oh, that I completely agree, because you look at a lot of these news guys who turn around and they go, "Oh, we have a report backstage that so and so is there." 9 times out of 10, I don't even read that, because to me it's like I don't want to get spoiled. The one thing I love, and folks, I always tell people, I may be a podcast host, but I'm still a fan at heart. And as a fan, I still want that element of surprise.
And I may get chastised for this, but I don't care. Some of those people that are news outletters, in my opinion, are the ones that wait outside the arena or the hotels where the wrestlers and personnel are staying, just so they can have a quick free photo or free autograph for them, and then later on take said photo and sell it on eBay. And those are your so-called news outlets. It's all the fans who do that shit and can't even get a real job.
Yeah, I'm being straightforward. No, I totally get where you're coming from. But you look at
there are a select few out there that actually are reliable and useful. But then there's some that none have ever heard of. Like, oh, this person said it. Well, I mean, who are you? You look at the person. Okay, he's one of those people that wait outside the hotels. Okay, fantastic.
Steve puts it perfectly. He goes, "Those are the people that are not news outlets. They're just bottom feeders." Bingo.
Exactly. There you go. Says it right there.
Those are also the guys who, when you go to like the airports and stuff, which this is the one thing I don't understand is how
the information. That's the fucked up part.
That's what But then also these same people who, if they have a kid with them, will bring the kid with them and tell them, "Oh, little Susie, can you go over to that guy who may look scary because he's the Undertaker, and can you get him to autograph that for me, please?"
True story, by the way, too.
Yeah, that's a legit story. I've heard that story before. But those are people I don't understand. The fact that they know which airline these people are coming in on.
That's
a whole story for.
That's borderline stalking.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you look at, but going back to Rodrick Strong here for a second, I think the way they're setting it up is, I think we're getting a AEW undisputed era. Yeah.
I'm trying to get my hand up. There we go.
Close enough.
There we go, baby. Because we're waiting on. Because I think Bobby Fish is still doing the indie scene.
Yeah, but I think he'll be back in AEW.
I think he'll be back.
Actually, we bring up Bobby Fish, folks. If you go to our YouTube page, and folks, I highly recommend that you subscribe to our YouTube page. Right, this just came up in my mind. One of the interviews that we did, I actually have to transfer it over, so it's not up yet, but it's going to be up soon, is Bobby Fish. And we talk about his whole AEW run. We got another comment coming in here from Jordan. Let me just pull this one up. He goes, sorry, but when I do my job on the podcast, is the homework and making sure that the facts are facts. Mr. Strong is working on some new fresh things, which will rock your socks. Okay, I take your word for it, Steve. I'm not questioning that at all.
No, I mean, neither am I. I'm just calling out those individuals who claim they are. Let's just call a spade. They're bottom feeders who very much waste time after time after time in the hotels. I mean, in the hotels, the airports, outside the arenas, and trying to sell off signed merchandise because they're too lazy to go. As CM Punk said it in his promo over a decade ago, they're too lazy to go get a real job.
I'll put it this way: you take people like us, take people like Steve, and you look at other podcasts out there. And I'm gonna, and this is me congratulating them. Okay, this isn't me putting them on blast. You look at guys like the 2300 podcast, the Dirty Heels, Bob Culture. The one thing that I can say with all of us, and Steve, I put you into this as well, is we don't come off as saying that we're journalists. We come off as we're fans just giving our opinions. And we just happen to have a platform to do it on.
Considering yours truly has been around pretty much most of the rosters from all three of them.
He goes, no, I'm just agreeing with you and showing the differences between the real people from the bottom feeders. And we also got another comment coming in here from Jordan. Real.
It's real.
So I'm happy. So Jordan, but that's my point though, Steve. Sorry I called you Jordan. But Steve, but that's my whole point though, is you have the people who are the bottom feeders who will be at the airports at 5 a.m. And then you got the people like us. You got people like Rob Williams and Chris Nunez. You got the guys over the 2300 guys who, yes, we may have this platform and we may have this way that we can express our opinions, but that's all they are, is our opinions. You can agree with them if you want. And if you don't agree with them, then I would highly recommend you do what Steve does and comment in the thing so we can interact and figure out what figure out what the thing is. Steve also chimes in. He goes, no worries. I'm used to being called by my last name, former military, so you're good, brother. Steve, thank you for your service.
But yeah, Rodrick Strong in AEW, I kind of like it. I'm not kind of like it. I do like it, especially with how the crowd's reaction was. I wish they would have done it in a different place. Just saying. But we'll see what happens from there. But now, let's switch gears now because we got our guest coming on in about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Some other big event that happened the past, past 5 days. The WWE draft.
Yes, I have a few issues.
So for those who have been living under a rock for the last, week, for the last week, on Monday, Triple H. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. The Raw after Mania, Triple H comes out and announces that there will be a draft at the end of the month, and lo and behold, here we are at the end of the month. Now, last week, he announced about the whole situation with the Universal Undisputed whatever multi-universal title holder name for Roman Reigns, whatever you want to call him, intergalactic title. That's what I'm calling it now.
Don't kid yourself. WWE's going to have an intergalactical title probably by next year's Mania.
That's what's Roman holding right now. Anyway, so last week he announced that whatever brand Roman Reigns will be drafted to, he will take the title with him and he will stay there. Whatever brand, and then whatever brand, doesn't get Roman will become the new World Heavyweight Champion, which again, I like the belt. I really do. If y'all hate it, well, screw you. No, I'm just kidding.
I just want to clarify on one thing, Ryan, because you bring up the belt, and you brought this up to me, I think, a couple days ago at work about my comments that I said last week on the show. And I just want to clarify my comments. When I was talking about the belt, yes, the design of the belt looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But if the whole point of this is to put the belt on Cody, then I'm sorry. To me, it comes off like a consolation prize.
You jumped the gun because I was going to say who was drafted to where.
Oh, sorry. I just had to get that off my chest. Go right ahead.
You couldn't hold it in for 5 more seconds.
I have a problem holding things in, Brian.
Yeah, I know. John.
Good, we're all here.
So anyway, on Friday the draft started, and the number 1 pick overall was a trio of Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and the Intergalactic Universal, whatever the fuck you want to call him, champion Roman Reigns. Which means that he was going to be staying on SmackDown, which means Raw was be getting the new title. And then the number 1 pick for Raw was the All-American roller coaster himself, Cody Rhodes. Now you can get to your comment, John.
Oh, we got one more comment coming in here from Steve saying...
Oh, God. Now, John, now you can get back to your comment about, about title and Cody.
I've had arguments with people about this because I've had a few people who tell me that, put the belt on Cody, it's a first, and I understand what they're saying, that he's the first one in the lineage to hold the title. And yeah, that's awesome. Okay. But after what you just did with him, and we got another comment coming in here from David, which I want to get to now. It says, new belt is awesome. The new big gold. Hey, fellas. Hey, David. How you doing?
David, continue.
But you look at, if the goal is to have Cody take the belt, then what's the point of it? You're trying to build him up to eventually dethrone Roman. So instead, you're going to have him get a consolation prize? You might as well just turn on and hand him a trophy and go, here, Cody, you didn't get the top prize, but we want to give you a participation trophy anyways.
Yeah, I agree with that. If it was someone else, I have my theories of who, then I'm okay with. Oh, yeah. But let me quickly run through the rest of the roster, which was finally confirmed at the last night.
Yes.
So, on Raw, besides Cody Rhodes, you got Becky Lynch, all 3 members of Imperium, which means the Intercontinental title is going to Raw, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura, who, by the way, called The Miz tiny balls in Japanese. That shit was hilarious last night. Apollo Crews coming back from NXT. A very surprising pick in Indy Hartwell. Candice LeRae, Sonya Deville, Chelsea Green, my girl, Dexter Lumis. Another big surprise in JD Madonna. The Maximum Male Models, they're still employed. Natalia, the Viking Raiders. Another surprise from Raw that actually could elevate the women's division, in my opinion, in Zoe Stark. The SmackDown Women's Champion. The SmackDown Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. Seth frickin' Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. All 3 members of the Judgment Day, which is Finn, Damian, and Dominic. The Women's Tag Team Champions, Liv and Raquel. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, The New Day. Trish Stratus, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler. I'm sorry, let me phrase that. Ronda and Shayna Rousey, or whatever it was called last night.
No, Shayna Blazer.
Thank you. Braun Strowman, Ricochet, Bronson Reed with no pop. Alpha Academy. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Akira Tozawa, he's still employed. Dana Brooke, she's still there. Emma. All 3 members of In This Year. Don't hinder the agenda. Johnny Gargano, Los Lotharios, they're still irrelevant. Nikki Cross, Odyssey Jones, why? Piper Niven, Riddick Moss, Tegan Knox, and Xia Li. Now, on to SmackDown. Besides the other three members of the Bloodline, we have the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, the Street Profits, Edge, Bobby Lashley, all four members of the OC, which includes AJ Styles, Damage Control, a surprising call-up in Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. All three members of Hit Row. Just make sure Top Dollar doesn't fly over the top rope. Lacey Evans, she's still there. The United States Champion, Austin Theory. Charlotte Flair, I thought she retired. The Usos, Jimmy and Jay. Shit, we're continuing with that story. The LWO, oh, good Lord almighty, all fucking five of them. Asuka, all three members of the Brawling Brutes. Claire Shillelagh. Karrion Kross and Scarlett, I hate to say it, they're still there. LA Knight, yeah. Shotzi, really? She's still there? Another surprise call, which I'm happy about, in Elton Prince and Kit Wilson, Pretty Deadly. Rick Boogs, just don't tear your other ACL, sir. Tamina, and two other names from NXT that I'm very, very excited about. Kevin Grimes, baby, to the moon. And, oh, wait, I need to find a sneaker because finally going onto the main roster is Grayson Waller. Now, along with the aforementioned free agents, apparently, I have no idea why there were some free agents left over. The rest of them were Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, Von Wagner, almost an MVP. But apparently I don't know.
You killed one guy who was a free agent.
Yeah, that's Zion Quinn, I think what his name was.
Yeah, the skinny Roman Reigns.
Additionally, it was announced that Brock Lesnar negotiated his status as a free agent, plus several big-name superstars were not included in the draft pool, such as Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, and Logan Paul. Now, these new rosters will go into effect this coming Monday after Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
One of the unique... I'm just reading off an article here. One of the unique developments that could play in the upcoming week will follow up on the Raw Women's Champion and the SmackDown Women's Champion. Meaning that they may have to either trade titles, we know how that goes, or have their titles renamed.
Well, I got a couple of issues with the draft.
And also, there's more. Also, the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, as well as the Women's Champions, are both drafted to Raw, leaving fans to wonder if there will be any tag titles on SmackDown. And there was also a significant amount of call-ups from NXT throughout the draft, which I kind of liked in my opinion. And there will be plenty of intrigue surrounding how well they integrate themselves into the Raw and SmackDown rosters. I need a cigarette.
I have a few issues with that, and I'll try to get to them as quickly as I can before our guest Alphonse Stevens joins us in a couple minutes here. You have a great feud, okay, in Karrion Kross and Shinsuke Nakamura. You just started the damn feud last week. And now you're going to put Kross on SmackDown and Nakamura on Raw? I'm sorry. To me, that it's like, why would you do that? In regards to... Actually, you know what? I'll hold off on that till later. I want to get to some of these comments that we have coming in here. Because Steve actually asked a very interesting question. Participation trophy, what in Lord's vein is that?
I don't know. It's what they give. What's what they give to kids in school nowadays? Because apparently everyone's
yeah,
fill in the blank.
Yep. And our buddy David chimes in here and goes, I think they should put the belt on Rollins first and have the final battle between him and Cody, with Rollins finally coming out on top since Cody has beaten him 3 times. They should spend a little bit more time. Yeah, thank you, David.
So I agree on the building the Cody part, in my opinion, but I don't think putting the belt on Rollins is a good idea to start. I have another theory.
Go right ahead.
Heel McIntyre.
Unless...
Because here's why. Here's why. Sorry to cut you off. Here's why. Drew can use that as heat leverage because when he first won the title, there were no fans in attendance.
Yeah.
And now he can pretty much tell the fans, I won the title. I originally won my first title without fans, actual fans supporting me. And now that the fans are here, I could still win, and I don't need any of you backing me. You know what I mean? Being a badass heel.
Steve chimes in here, and he agrees with you. He says he can see him as a heel.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, and the funny thing is with him, not only is the story there, but he has the look. I'm very big on you have to have the look. And David chimes in here and goes, actually, heel Drew sounds awesome. Good call, Ryan.
He's been a babyface for years. It's time for him to change it up.
I'm trying to think, when was he a heel?
2019, when he got called up from NXT.
Oh, yeah, when he was working with Dolph.
Yeah, when he partnered with Dolph and had that weird run with some guy who apparently, money, torn ACL.
But with him, though, to me, Drew is one of those guys that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
No.
Because I feel like he's one of these guys who was in WWE, left WWE, reinvented himself.
He did the same thing that Cody did.
Yeah, but the difference is Cody reinvented himself, basically added a neck tattoo. You look at Drew. You look at Drew in his run now compared to his first run. He doesn't look. He looks totally different.
No, I agree. But same thing with Cody Rhodes too, because Cody Rhodes, he was the Stardust gimmick. He hated it. He left, and then went off and did the Indies, just like McIntyre. Which I think, kind of ironically, they both left at the same time.
And they're both back.
And better than ever, in my opinion.
Yeah. But
I would like to see that matchup. Face Cody versus heel Drew? Come on.
But I wonder if you don't pull the trigger. Well, they announced, I think that we're going to get the champion at Night of Champions, the end of this month.
May 27th in Saudi Arabia.
So I'm just thinking in my head here.
That's it. I'm calling it right now. Shane McMahon is coming back from injury, and he's claiming himself the world champion. The best in the world is coming back to Saudi Arabia, baby.
No. I wonder if you put it on Rollins now. He doesn't need to have a long run with it.
What was the point of it then?
Put it on somebody who has name value. And I'm only saying that for one reason. Where are they for Money in the Bank?
UK.
What I'm saying is you pull the trigger then on Drew.
I don't know. No. Because I think they have something big planned for the Money in the Bank in the UK, and that involves the Money in the Bank ladder match, which
we've talked about that before in the show, big time.
Oh yes, and I think more than likely with the way that he's performing, it's gonna be true.
Steve chimes in. He goes, "Isn't that the same shit every time Shane comes out of the woodworks and acts like a man-child?"
Look at me, Dad, I'm dancing. Look at me, Dad, I'm dancing. Here comes the money. No, it's here comes the money. Oh, my ACL. I guess he went to the Kevin Nash school of selling.
No, apparently, I figured it out. Ryan, I actually used my brain.
I thought I saw something burning.
The reason why he tore his ACL, this is going to sound really bad, is he has too much money.
Moving on.
Good call. Folks, if you want to chastise me, go right ahead.
I do it on a daily basis, but if you want to join in on the fun, you're more than welcome to. Oh, God. But one other thing, I want to talk about the draft before our first guest shows up, hopefully.
He's running a little bit late.
Yeah, that's fine. I like the NXT call-ups, but what I thought was very odd, and I agree with you on this, the fact that the current NXT Women's Tag Champs got called up to SmackDown on Friday. And then yesterday, the ones that, challenged for the tag titles are now going to be on Raw. Like, what the fuck is this? And on top of that, you called up Indy Hartwell, who just won the title back a little less than a month ago at Stand and Deliver, and she's out of a fucking injury.
But Ryan, our guest has arrived. So if you would please do so, please do the introduction.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest of the evening is someone that I know very well. He is in my opinion, one of the top commentators in the wrestling scene today. You can catch him at Titan Championship Wrestling and Invictus Pro Wrestling, as well as in numerous other places. And he's going to kill me for what I'm about to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alphonse Stevens.
What's up, guys? I'm glad to be here, Ryan. You always make me. You always pop me with that, bro.
What's going on, my man? Long time no see. It's been, 4 days?
4 days, yeah, man. Since Invictus in the Bronx.
Which, speaking of which, apparently you have to talk about how great the empanadas were?
Listen, those empanadas. So here's the story, right? During the intermission, I bought 4 of them, and they were so good, I bought another 2. And I dogged them all in 15 minutes.
And I got none.
Next time you go, listen. Next time we're in St. Helena's, you have to at least get one.
And listen, I had that fried chicken. That shit was good too.
Oh yeah, the chicharrón de pollo was good. But also, when we go to the Bronx Brewery in August for Invictus, you got to try the chopped cheese empanada.
Yes.
If you didn't have them the last time, those are so good. So good.
I didn't have last time because I was working the fucking show and I didn't want to have chopped cheese spewed all over the middle of the ring.
You could have one in between a match or an intermission.
Nah. I say that for after the show because I'm weird like that.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna get to the next show super early and we're gonna have one together.
Sounds good to me. Because as I said, we're gonna be outside for that one.
Bronx Brewery outdoors this time so that we don't get any semi-broken or mismanaged beer machine parts.
Yeah. Well, no wonder he lost the title on Friday. John, I know you have questions. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Alphonse. Let's start off with Invictus then. Obviously, we saw the ending of Bougie cashing in his briefcase. You were there, obviously, Ryan. You were there as well. So that's both of you guys' question. What was it like in the building when he cashed in?
Ryan, you mind if I take this one first?
Go ahead, my man. He asked you first.
So as the commentator, I'm calling the show, and then because when we commentate, we have a monitor in front of us. The monitor shows what's on the camera feed. So I'm not looking up at the ring or at the crowd. I'm just watching the monitor. At the tip of the monitor, I see Bougie, and I'm like, oh no. And he has the briefcase in his hand, and I'm like, PJ just beat Ben Bishop for the social media championship. And then I see Bougie in the corner. So earlier in the night, he had teased Ken Broadway that he was going to cash in for the grand championship. It didn't happen. But when he got closer to the ring, I'm like, oh, you ever just had that feeling where you either have chills down your spine or like your heart falls into your stomach? That's what that felt like. And I just knew it because PJ had a difficult match against Bishop. And shout out to Big Trouble Ben Bishop. He's a heck of a wrestler. And he and PJ went to war. And I just knew it because of the type of guy Bougie is. He's an opportunist. Anything that he can do to get a one-up on somebody or even put himself in a better position, he's going to take advantage of. That's why he couldn't take advantage of Ken Broadway, because Ken Broadway stood tall after his match against Nikolai White. So I knew what was about to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen because I didn't expect him to run roughshod over PJ and beat him up, then cash in. But, I mean, at the end of the day, what he did was not against the rules, so I can't even be too mad,
Ryan, I'll ask you the same question. Ryan, you were closer in the video that I saw when he went to go grab the briefcase. I think he chucked it. I think he nearly missed you by like a couple of inches.
Yeah, basically what happened was after he gave the curb stomp to PJ while he was celebrating PJ's, title victory, he literally hops out of the ring, goes over to the stage, picks up PJ's briefcase, and slingshots it, almost hitting me in the face, mind you, and pretty much emptying out the briefcase. I don't know what the hell was in that briefcase. It looked like a messed up laptop or something like that. I don't know, but he was destroying that thing. And then he hops back out of the ring, gets his briefcase, goes over to Q the ref, and Q looking very distraught, saying, "Are you serious? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And of course, he comes over to me, and I make the announcement saying that he's cashing in his briefcase, and literally the energy in that place, I feel like kind of died after Bougie won.
Well, the energy died, Ryan, because if you think about the whole setup in Bougie's journey in Invictus the last few months, he's somebody that Alex Aceta and Nick Goutman didn't want in their company, right? It goes back to.
By the way, shout out to Alex for almost hitting me with a fucking chair that he threw across the room.
But shout out to Alex and Nick, and remember, it was the cheat code match in the Bronx Brewery in March, where they said, "Hey, Bougie, if you win this match against Leroy," shout out to Big Game Leroy. Hope you're feeling all right. If it wasn't for the match against Big Game Leroy, the cheat code match, remember, if Bougie won, he's in the Climb for the Cloud briefcase match. If he loses, he's fired. He wins that match, and we saw Alex and Nick get involved in that match physically, which ownership should never do, but I understand the reasoning why, because it was personally invested. And then the one guy that they don't want to win the match wins the match. Then he goes to the Climb for the Clout briefcase match, where the winner is going to get a title shot any place, anytime, anywhere. He wins that. The one guy that didn't want to win that match won, and then he cashes in, and he's now the grandest champion in all of Invictus. So, I'm pretty sure Alex and Nick are not too thrilled about the main event of what happened, especially Nick, because he got choked out during that ladder match.
Oh my! Which, by the way, out of all the ladder matches I've seen Invictus do, I think it was the third.
Excuse me.
I think this is the third. I think this one was actually their best ladder match out of the three.
I agree. I didn't see the first one, but I was there for the second one last year.
And you know what it is, because the field was stacked. I mean, you had Bougie, you had Brandon Watts, Gabriel Sky, Jack Tomlinson, Jared Diaz, Killian McMurphy, and Mighty Montekia.
And Montekia was my pick going in. Oh, and don't forget Killian McMurphy was in that match too.
That's right, Killian McMurphy. That's right, yeah. I had a couple of them, and unfortunately none of them was Bougie. One of them was Montekia, but the other one I had was Gabe Sky.
That was Pete Rosado's pick. That we talked about it on commentary in the lead up to the match. He had Gabe Sky, I had Montekia, but I think Bougie was the unpopular pick. Nobody wanted to see him win that match.
I mean, granted, I wish I was on commentary when Bougie won, but Pete kicked me out.
You provided a solid 3 minutes of commentary. I appreciate it.
I helped you breathe.
That too.
I feel Ryan, you made the point about you wish you were on commentary when Bougie won. I think most people in that building could have heard Pete Rosado.
Yeah, I heard him, and he was on the opposite end of the building.
Pete is not the quietest person.
Nope, not when he's mad either.
No, he's not. But I will. But Alphonse, you can definitely attest that. Shout out to Invictus for possibly drawing their biggest crowd to date.
Yeah. St. Helena, and shout out to St. Helena's for being a great venue,
Oh, that was my first time there, actually.
Really?
I've never been there. I've heard about it, but I've never been there.
No, I love that building. That was maybe my 5th time in that building.
First of all,
I enjoy it.
It's a workout getting to the fucking gym, first of all, because you have all these goddamn stairs to climb.
Because you got to go downstairs, then make a right, and then go downstairs, then another set of stairs, then go left, then go down another pair of stairs. But no, I love that building. It's a great building for wrestling.
I feel bad for the ring crew trying to bring this stuff in, but besides Invictus, didn't you have another event this weekend, the following day?
Titan.
No, we saw the
Sorry, fellas.
You're good, man. We saw the we saw the photos from the turnout, and as someone who was there, along with probably Mr. Asceta, who was probably like on 20% energy. Bless you.
Thank you.
Who was on 20% energy. Could you describe to us like how it felt being in there with that many people watching Titan?
That crowd was electric. It was a lot of kids, so you know how kids are at wrestling events.
Unfortunately, yes.
Energetic. They love the good guys, hate the bad guys. So lots of good energy in that building. The steel cage match main event was a heck of a match. It was CMD versus Johnny Moran and Aaron Roxas, with Anthony Gangone as a special enforcer on the outside. So it was a solid card overall. Solid card. And again, the energy was infectious. It was a near sellout. And I was proud to be there.
Right.
Go ahead. That was my question. Go ahead.
Okay, because I know they just announced actually for their next show in May that for the title, I don't know if it's for both of Gangone's titles.
It's both, yeah.
Oh, it is for both. Okay, that it's going to be a triple threat match featuring Anthony Gangone, Johnny Moran, and some Ultimo Dragon.
Well, I'll tell you this. As a 90s wrestling mark, self-admitted 90s wrestling mark, I am going to do everything humanly possible to not lose my cool when Ultimo Dragon walks out. And it's not just Ultimo Dragon; he's going to be managed by his manager in WCW, Sonny Ono. So that's gonna be a hell of a match. We know that Anthony Gangone has been a great champion, fighting champion, never backed down from a challenge. So that should be a good one. And Johnny Moran, former champion as well.
And I know they also just.
I apologize, guys. I'm having like allergies like crazy tonight, but I apologize.
No, you're good. No, you're good, man. This weather's killing all of us. Trust me.
Because I know they also just announced another match that they're going to crown a new MoFi TV American champion between Ryan. I'm not kidding you on this one. Between Ken Powers and the Patriot.
And that should be a doozy as well. The Patriot is undefeated in Titan Championship Wrestling, and this will be his first appearance since July of last year. So I'm looking forward to that. And, of course, Ken Powers. Well, Ryan knows Ken Powers because Ken Powers is also a member of the Invictus roster. Ken Powers, Polish powerhouse. He's a phenomenal young talent. Very, very strong. Kind of an old-school style wrestler. So, I watch guys like Ken Patera and Ivan Putski, and Ken Powers reminds me of them. So, I hold Ken Powers' abilities as a wrestler in very high regard. He's like a throwback.
I just find it funny. We're in 2023, and we're talking about possibly the Patriot holding a title.
Like they say in wrestling, never say never,
Actually, Alphonse, we do have one question coming in. And actually, Ryan,
Sure.
This is for you as well. From our buddy David, who wants to know, does Invictus and Titan have any YouTube content that he can check out? Because Alphonse, one of our fans who actually is asking a question right now, actually lives in the UK.
Okay. Well, Invictus does have some stuff on their YouTube. I know that they have the deal with IWTV, so all their content is on there. But they do have select matches from pre-shows and certain main events on their YouTube page, Invictus Pro Wrestling. Titan, however, does not have anything on YouTube. They're strictly on MobFi TV, which is a free app available if you have Android or iPhone. So it's a MOBFI TV.
Yeah, and folks, I would have definitely recommend it. I download the MoFi app on my phone, and I can watch back. Usually it takes a couple of weeks for the Titan shows.
Well, yeah. However, the latest show from this past Saturday is up for on demand already.
Wow, that's quick.
Yep, quick turnaround.
That's really quick. But now, let me ask you this, Alphonse. You did Invictus and you did Titan. Is there one match that you would say was your favorite match calling from either show?
From either show, it's a tie between the Climb for the Clout ladder match and the steel cage match from the Titan show. I can't put one over the other. They were both equally great. Because it's very, what it is? It's very rare to get gimmick matches on the indies. So anytime there's a steel cage, that's going to take the cake. Ryan has been in wrestling longer than me, and he could tell you he could probably count on one hand or two or barely two hands the number of steel cage matches he's seen. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right.
Yep, steel cage matches are not common in the indies, so I will always treasure those matches. And the same thing with ladder matches. I could maybe that's like my 5th ladder match I've ever seen in person on an indie show. So,
Ryan, is that the same with you? As far as you don't get that many.
No, I agree. Like you don't like, especially for like the steel cage. Those are like the main things with the steel cage, and Alphonse can attest because he's probably seen it. Sometimes it's difficult to set up a cage.
yeah, because that cage took 20 minutes.
And that's good.
So it was like it was, and that's good because I've been at shows where the cage took 40 minutes. It's basically when you have to put up a cage on a show, it's basically a second intermission if there was already an intermission earlier in the show.
I remember last year, I remember it was like last year or the year before, Titan did that. It was a long show because they had the Onawai family. They had regular matches, then they had intermission, then they went back to the matches, and then they set up. It took like 45 minutes to do the cage, and it was
it was 3 years ago actually. It was Christina Marie versus Holly Dead in the cage.
No, that one was fast. I'm talking about the one that Blaze Haram and Burke.
I forgot all about that.
The Iraqi prison match.
Right. And then before that, I hadn't been the last steel cage match I remember was in the old BWF when the Satsujin squad wrestled Team BWF with TJ Marconi and Bronco, and that cage took about 35 to 45 minutes to put up. So yeah, they're very rare.
Yeah, I actually this past week, and this is a show we're going to talk about a little bit later. ISPW had a steel cage match with Recon and Crowbar.
I saw highlights of that online. That looked like it was great.
I was lucky enough to be front row for that, and there were certain moments where you sat there, you're like, they're going to kill each other. But the thing is, I remember with that, they flew through the whole show, and then they did the intermission right when the steel cage happened, and it was, I'm trying to think here. I think maybe it took 20 minutes.
It's not too bad. And you know what? Because when you take time out to put up a cage as a second intermission, you sometimes you risk losing the people. Crowd gets disinterested, or they linger. You can't leave a crowd lingering for too long.
No. Well,
at Titan they did a good job though. They were quick and efficient. It was like 20 people helping with that cage, so they did a great job.
Which is rare some days in some indie wrestling places.
Yep.
But no, and folks, if you miss Invictus or you miss Titan, definitely go back and watch both of them. They both put on great stuff. Yes, right. I'm giving Invictus its praise.
No, I love work. I just want to plug real quick. I love working with Invictus. Alex and Nick are great owners. They have a great staff. Pete Rosado is a great commentary partner. Ryan is one hell of a ring announcer. He's in my top 3 in the Northeast indie scene. So,
wow.
And then we have a talented locker. Ryan, I've told you this in person. And then we have a great locker room. And same thing with Titan. Great locker room, great staff, bunch of talented guys. Billy and Charlie, they're a couple of good guys. They always do right by the boys. So definitely, guys, check out Titan, check out Invictus, follow them on all the social media, and maybe we could get some Titan stuff on YouTube.
I've told Billy hundreds of times the door's always open for him to have the guys and girls from Titan on here. Told him the door's always open.
Well, I'm glad to represent Titan and Invictus, and I'm glad that you invited me on the show. Finally got me on the show. I know this has been a long time coming.
Don't worry, this isn't the last. We're gonna definitely have you on again, especially when we start up our sports show, because we're definitely gonna talk to you about the lovely New York Mets. Yep. Always represent
24/7, 365.
Ryan, you got anything else?
Nah, yeah. Final question: Where can the viewers / listeners find you on social media?
My handles are all the same on Instagram and Twitter. It's ref _Al. That's AL_Stevens, STEVENS. So Ref Al Stevens, or Ref_Al_Stevens. And anybody follows me, I always follow back. So,
and guys, Alphonse is I personally think he's one of the most underrated commentators in the indies right now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I second that. I've seen my fair share of commentators throughout the years.
But no, I just keep working hard, keep continuing to study, and if I always say it's an honor to put my voice on a show, So I'm definitely, that means a lot to me, guys. I appreciate that.
Especially if a certain somebody just walks by you nonchalantly and just yell Allahu Akbar.
Actually, we'll bring that up quickly. I remember, Ryan, there was a few Titan shows I was at where I saw Alphonse, and I walked up to him and I said that, and Alphonse looks at me and goes, Ryan.
I remember that too, because once you said it, I was like, damn it, Ryan.
Yeah, Alphonse, with any of that, blame him.
Blame me.
Nah, we're overdue for a beer in a Mets game. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that can go good. But Alphonse, thank you so much for hopping on. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.
Absolutely. You too, my man.
Guys, that was Alphonse Stevens. So, Ryan, initial thoughts?
What?
No, I was gonna say initial thoughts, but I'm like, you just saw him a couple days ago.
No, I said this since day one. I agree with you. He's like one of the most underrated announcers out there, but also announcers, commentators, whatever you want. But also, he's like the most down to earth individual I've ever met in this business.
I think when you look at, let me
phrase that.
I'm gonna put Pete Rosado also as well, because you look at commentary duos in the indie scene. Okay, you have Pete Rosado and Alphonse in Titan. You have Pete Rosado, Alphonse, and Alex you have Pete Rosado and Alphonse in Invictus.
Mm-hmm.
You have Pete Rosado, Alphonse, and Alex for Titan. I'm trying to think of others off the top of my head. You have Cheyenne and AJ Pan for Bray.
Now imagine Cheyenne, Pete Rosado, and Alphonse Stevens at once.
But my point is this. Especially when it comes to the independent scene, you don't get a lot of time, you don't get consistency with announcers because, schedules or this or that. But the fact that in like a 5-minute time set, I was able to name 3 commentary duos, and there's probably more out there. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But it shows you something that when you think of Invictus, you think of Pete Rosado and Alphonse. When you think of Titan, commentary, or I guess you could say the voice of Titan, you think of Pete Rosado, Alphonse, and Alex. When you look at Brie, the voice of Brie, I've said it for a while now, I think the voice of Brie is freaking Cheyenne.
I agree.
Between
Cheyenne, another individual who doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
I mean,
I've known him for a long time since Ace.
And it's funny we bring him up. I remember at the anniversary show for Brie, that one that just happened a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was on call with AJ Pan, and it was right after Bougie had his match with Khan. And all of a sudden, at one point, AJ Pan and Cheyenne Ortiz start going at it.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
But before we get into more indie talk, I want to get through some of the comments here quickly. Steve chimes in here, goes, Titan always puts on a great show. Yep, Steve, I totally agree with you on that. Titan, I feel a lot of times gets a bad rap for whatever reason, but they always put on quality matches and quality shows. He said it was about, when we were talking before about the cage setup at ISPW, because he was also, Steve apparently was there. Steve, I did not know that. Steve, I was the one in the front row. I'm trying to think of the best way. If you're coming in from the entrance, I was the one in like the front row towards the entrance.
I don't know. Well, actually, no. I don't think he's talking about that. I think he's talking about Titan.
Oh, well, Steven, just clarify which one. If you talk about Titan or you talking about ISPW. Yep. ISPW had a steel cage, which we're going to get to that when Rich Reed joins us in about 15 minutes or so. And then the last comment here is yes, they do. That was to answer the question about does Invictus and Titan have any YouTube content?
There you go.
And folks, I highly recommend if you can't get access to IWTV or MoFi TV, definitely go to YouTube.
Now, speaking of Invictus,
okay, he is talking about ISPW because he goes, I remember seeing you.
Okay.
Well, Steve, next time you see me at ISPW show, definitely come by and say hi. I don't bite. Trust me.
You only nibbles.
What were you going to say?
Speaking of Invictus, let me talk about what happened this past Friday night.
Yes.
A little more detail, if you don't mind. Oh, wait, I don't care. I'm going into it because remember what you said on the startup.
Oh, my
Because, there were other shows besides ISPW and Immortal.
How about this? Go ahead.
But, John, that's like putting up a mirror against yourself. Wait, hold on. Put that up for a second. I thought you looked familiar.
Now, okay, to the people who are watching right now who may not know who this is,
Google it.
But moving on.
This past Friday, we had Invictus Pro Wrestling in Bloom 2, which according to Cage Match was not at the Bronx Brewery, mind you. It was at St. Helena School. Yes, John. What do you need?
Oh, okay. Now I remember you, Steve. Okay.
So we kicked off in Bloom 3 with the Invictus Tag Team Championship match as the current champions Fight or Die, Chris Barton and Dominic De Niro, took on the team of Hired Gun Inc., which is Brute Van Slyke and Garrett Holiday, which, by the way, Garrett, if you're watching, thank you for what you did on Saturday. Fight or Die successfully retained over Hired Gun Inc. Very good matchup. The next matchup was the Invictus Women's Championship Open Challenge as the current champion, La Chica Clara Carreras, took on a mystery opponent. And who answered it? Why, it's none other than Anastasia Morningstar from the Church of Greatness. Very good, quick, simple matchup. Very good. Next up was a tag team action, which I think, in my opinion, they should have gone a lot longer. And that is the team of the Outfielders, which is Shane McCoy and Weber Hatfield, taking on the team of Lucas Chase and the victorious BRG, Brett Ryan Gosling, collectively known as Victorium. And then next up was the Climb for Clout ladder match with all the 7 competitors that I said I'm not going to repeat the whole list. But it was Bougie that climbed the ladder and retained the Climb for Clout briefcase, or let me rephrase that. He pretty much snapped the cable off the top of the ceiling and grabbed the briefcase. Then, after intermission, it was a 3-way matchup as Gabby Ortiz took on Abby Jane and the Ruthless Lala. And Lala pretty much gave Miss What That Lariat Do. She gave a lariat to both of them and won. Next up, in singles action, in one of the most highly anticipated matches of the night, Darius Carter took on Edith Surreal. Darius Carter won by disqualification. Because what happened was Edith Surreal had DC in the corner. Going at him, still punching him. Referee Nick Shin was trying to pull back Edith. Edith said, hell no, and pretty much shoved him out of the way. Kept going. Thus Nick Shin calling for the disqualification on Carter, and something tells me that is going to continue on. And I have an idea what it might be. I kind of threw it to management. If they can somehow pull it off.
Okay.
What's the one match we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes with Alphonse?
Steel cage match. That could get interesting.
First time ever in Invictus. There's never been a cage match.
Actually, I'll make history in two aspects then.
What?
First cage match, I think probably the first ever time could be an intergender cage match.
No, I've seen that before.
And by the way, on a quick side note, before I wish I did this while Alphonse was on here, I was kind of bored for a few minutes. Oh look! This is me when I go out partying.
Word. Anyway, so next matchup, our semi-main event, co-main event, for the Invictus Grand Championship, the current champion Ken Broadway took on the Renaissance Nikolai White in a very good matchup, in my opinion.
Ryan, do you remember this incident?
No.
I don't remember that one.
Hold on. Always beats the snot out of most of her challenges. Also a good egg. She helped me with a female at the Mecca a few months back with a patient. Steve, can you clarify what event you're talking about? Because the only event I'm thinking about a few months ago was a show that I announced for John, Garden State.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brain now.
But anyway, very good matchup, and then all of a sudden, but something kind of caught my eye a little bit. Ken Broadway had a little bit of help from a smooth superhero in Montequillo.
It was that Magic.
Man, I wasn't there. But Mighty Montequillo helping out Ken Broadway.
That's an interesting.
Very interesting, but also think about it. Both of them did train at the same school.
I didn't know that.
House of Glory.
Shout out to House of Glory.
No, I'm kidding. They're good. And then in the main event, which in my opinion, basically the entire night felt like WrestleMania, in my opinion. For the Invictus Social Media Championship, PJ Savage cashing in his 2022 Climb for Cloud briefcase because he won that back last year, which officially made him the challenger as he took on Big Trouble Ben Bishop. These two went at it back and forth for over 20 minutes, which then PJ Savage was victorious over Ben Bishop. And then, obviously, as you heard, but for those that didn't hear, who decided to finally come out of your little holes or finally take, the little pebbles out of your ears so you can actually hear, Jay Bougie, who won the Climb for Cloud briefcase, was kind of teasing all night which title he's cashing in. And then he saw the perfect opportunity and cashed in on his former friend, now bitter enemy, PJ Savage. And now Jay Bougie is now the Invictus Pro Wrestling Social Media Champion, which again, shout out to Alex Aceta for throwing a chair and almost hitting me in the back. Thank you very much. Shout out to the
what happened?
It was just him just being pissy that Bougie won.
Wow, so you got it from both ends because you had Alex throw the chair that almost hit you. You had Bougie throw the briefcase that almost hit you.
I know, seriously. I guess it's hit the announcer night.
I don't advocate for that.
But this wasn't shown on the air. This wasn't shown on the feed. But Savage took the mic from me and said, Bougie, congratulations. I'm gonna fuck you up.
Oh, shit.
Uh-huh. And that's how it ended. And I can say this because Invictus Pro Wrestling Management made me announce this. On June 25th, they are back at the Mecca in Richfield Park, New Jersey. Whoopee! As we team up with our friends at NFW for a massive dual supercard on Sunday, June 25th. And then on Friday, August the 4th, we're back in the Boogie Down Bronx at the Bronx Brewery. And, this time we going to be outside. That way, no fans will be turned away. Because the last time we were at the brewery, we turned people away because we ran out of room.
I'm going to put this out there right now. What day is that again? Are you showing August?
Friday.
Ooh, that make it no, shouldn't be tough.
No, make it work.
What I was gonna say, let me know what day it is.
August 4th.
I'll be there for that one. Be my
You heard
first
it here, folks.
I will be there.
Are you sure?
Yes, Ryan, I will be there.
I'm kidding.
Hold on. Mr. Potato Head says I'll be there.
I had another name for that, but nope.
If I just did the show like, hold on, I want to see something. If I did the show like this the entire time, you think anybody would notice?
Take the hat off. Take the hat off.
I can't. The hat's a part of it.
What you do? Super glue that shit?
No, it's. I don't know. Yes, folks, this is a wrestling show, and we're talking about Toy Story.
I mean, to be fair, somehow wrestlers have a huge obsession with action figures.
Yeah, but you never hear them talk about which, by the way, Toy Story to me, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Wait, say that again.
Toy Story is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yes. Toy Story was one of the first Disney movies I watched growing up as a kid.
Okay, were you a fan of the first one, though?
Oh, hell yeah.
The original?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, for the third one, when Andy goes off to college, I cry like a bitch.
I always said growing up that the Toy Story movie, and we'll get back into the Indy talk in a second here.
We're taking a little breather from wrestling to talk about our childhoods, because apparently the 90s was the shits in a good way.
Ryan, tell me if I'm wrong on this. Toy Story, for anybody who grew up in the 90s, basically it was each one, I think, what was there? 4 of them? 4 Toy Stories? Each one of them, Andy grew up, and it was around the same age that you were, or that I was.
Yeah, because I think Toy Story came out in 94.
No, later.
95, I think?
I think so.
I think it was 95. But, when the...
That's impressive.
Wow.
I'm going to see what year this one's from.
But the third Toy Story that came out when Andy went off to college, I remember that year because it was 2000. That was 2010, and a month and a half later, after I saw the movie, I went off to college.
Okay, you want your laugh? This Mr. Potato Head right here. I just looked right now when it's from. This is from 1996.
So when the movie almost pretty much came out.
This is from the real. I didn't. Wow. But again, it's down here in the lovely world of everything that is owned by my father, so it doesn't shock me.
And I have you seen the fourth one?
No, last one I saw was the third one.
Oh,
I didn't see. Oh wait, was the fourth one with the pink? No, the purple bear who tries to kill them.
That's the third one.
Okay, then I didn't see the fourth one.
The fourth one was when they were trying to help Little Miss Bo Peep.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Steve's right. 96 was the first one.
Actually, that's when Pixar first started. Actually, as a movie.
Well, not to cut you off there, but I left it because you had that. You had Space Jam. You had Aladdin. I'm trying to think here. You had
Aladdin was 92 or 91. No, Aladdin was 92.
But that was the movies we grew up with.
The original Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
God. I mean, Ryan, you're talking about the movies that we grew up with watching.
No,
and folks,
and not only that, one of my other favorite movie franchises. This may chastise some people. How about the Mighty Ducks?
But Ryan, here's my thing. Now I wanted to say this out to the people who are watching, who are on the younger side of things. We didn't growing up in the olden times. You know, in a century long ago. Now, me saying that anybody who's like born in the 80s is going to probably kill me. But guys, when we were growing up, we didn't have the ability to go to our smartphones and go to an app that said Netflix or Disney Plus and go, ooh, Space Jam, play.
Pocahontas, a Goofy movie. Sorry, I'm just throwing out random movies in the 90s. Sorry, don't mind me. Hunchback of Notre Dame, a.k.a. Actually, no.
Hold on. We got another comment coming in here.
Wow.
Impressive, Steve. And actually, Ryan, we actually have our next guest joining us.
We do?
Yes, we do.
How about you introduce this one?
Now, guys, friend of the show, making his return to the show. He is I guess you could say he's the official ring announcer for ISPW.
Yeah, he's the voice of ISPW.
He's also an SWF Hall of Famer. I always have to mention that part. And this weekend, he will be emceeing and also ring announcing as ISPW presents their 80s WrestleCon. The one, the only, Mr. Rich Reed. Rich, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, man?
Long day. But I'm doing good.
So, Rich, want to get into, before we get into what's happening this weekend, I want to get into the show that just happened Friday night.
Okay.
Obviously, it was great seeing you there.
Oh, yeah.
First thing I want to get to is your little roast battle with Maven.
Yeah, man. That guy is relentless, man. He was such a nice guy on Tough Enough. And when he first came to WWE, but I don't see any trace of that, especially when it comes to me. You know.
Actually, Rich, I forgot to mention one other part. Your co-host here, Steve, wants us to make sure that people know that you're also part of the Rockabilly Fireman Show as well.
Absolutely. I co-host the Rockabilly Fireman Show with Steve Jordan every Wednesday night at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. Check in every Wednesday night.
And Ryan, this next comment's actually directed at you.
Why?
From the Greek Savage.
Oh, yes. Dude, I need to.
And then he also chimes in here and says, I'm good friends with Maven, and he asks me for money all the time.
Shout out to Wrestling with Savage also.
Yeah, it sounds like Maven.
But I remember, Rich, sitting there in the front row, and this is as they're having them untighten the ropes in the match. And I'm hearing Maven go after you. And I'm like, what is he going after Rich about?
Yeah, he goes after me every single week. Like he usually likes to poke fun at something that I'm wearing. That's what it is. And he just has to just put me out there in front of the whole crowd. But the crowd is loyal because the crowd always, they say, he looks nice. He looks great. I like that. I don't know what you're talking about, Maven. So the crowd's always on my side.
Rich, I think he's jealous.
Hey, man. Hey. I'll take him shopping one day. Show him how it's done.
We also have another comment coming here from the Greek Savage saying, I complimented your shoes.
Thank you. He's one of the good ones.
And Steve chimes in here and goes, Maven is always busting Rich's chops.
Yep, from day one, since the day I met him. It's been such a letdown. They say never meet your heroes. Well, I met he was a hero of mine, and what a letdown, man.
But that was actually, and I'm going to say right now, that the ISPW show was my first show as a fan being at.
Okay.
The last one I was actually at with Ryan, was the night of big event.
Right. And and that's the thing about ISPW. I know we're here to talk about 80s Wrestling Con, but you get top-notch action, and I know you thoroughly enjoy that show, and you get that kind of action every show. It doesn't have to be a special event like the one that's coming up this weekend. You're always going to get that, and that's why I'm a mainstay there. And
Greek Savage chimes in here and goes, he was your hero. Damn, life must have been rough. Oh, jeez.
Hey, he was an advocate. He was like a poster boy for the average Joe trying to make it, in the business. So, and that's what Tough Enough was, kind of in a sense.
Greek Savage will be at the 80s WrestleCon as well. Come party with Marty and Savage.
Okay.
But Rich, I will say this right now, and when it comes to what you wear, a lot of times when I see, when you post yourself on Instagram and Facebook about your outfits, I always look at him I'm like, it must take this guy 25 minutes just to figure out what he's going to wear.
Just 25?
I'm being generous.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, it takes maybe a little bit longer than 25 minutes, maybe just a bit.
Ryan?
So what was the atmosphere like at ISPW this past Friday in Avenel? Like I know that Avenel crowds, sometimes are hit or miss, but considering you had a stacked card, including that steel cage TLC with Crowbar and Rick Recon, it must have been electric. But since someone that was there, care to share your firsthand experience?
Yeah, no, Steve said I take 45 minutes to be exact. Yeah, maybe. A little more generous, but not quite there. But no, yeah. As far as ISPW, the crowds at ISPW are always so passionate, because the product is so great. And it's funny. It wasn't the biggest venue. It wasn't the biggest crowd. But the crowd that was there, they stayed the whole time. The room never emptied out. And I remember when I went back when I went back to the dressing room, people asked me how the crowd was. I said it's a great crowd. It may not be the biggest crowd because it's not the biggest venue, but it was a loud crowd. It was a passionate crowd, and that's what you're always going to get. And honestly, the size of the crowd wasn't bad either.
Now, not to add on to that. Since ISPW runs in different venues across the state of Jersey, is it always the same fan base, or is it when you go to a different area, it's like different, like people actually come into the events?
We have our mainstays that follow us around, but we do get, there are different people. It's interesting that you see at different venues. We're doing it, we just did it in Avenel, but that may be a little bit different than the one that we do in, we're going to be doing Barnegat soon, and which is a ways away. That's actually pretty far down for ISPW. And then there's Totowa. So there are different faces that you see, but again, there are people that follow us all over the map.
Which is funny. One more thing. I'm sorry, John. Because it's funny you mentioned, they're going to Barnegat. I think what you said it was
Barnegat. Yeah.
Barnegat. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not from Jersey. I'm in New York. Because we know that ISPW is mainly a northern Jersey territory per se. But could you possibly see them going down the Tom's River, maybe at the same place where they did Contest of Champions, if you remember?
Oh, I can absolutely. I could see, ISPW going a lot of places. I know it's a little bit more comfortable for Tommy. I don't want to speak for him, but I know he lives more up north, so it's a little bit more comfortable for him to do the northern spots. But if business opens up, money talks, and I know ISPW has that potential. I mean, you've seen the pull they have. You see what they're about to pull off this weekend with the convention. So I don't know of anything in the works, but I see it totally being possible for them to really, spread out.
Well, before we get to the next question, I actually got some comments coming in here that I just like to go through quickly. Greek Savage chimes in and goes, "You need your own lip, ma'am. At BPW, I had someone cleaning my suit in the ring like 5 times, and then I told her to get the F out of the ring. It was special. It was special. And PA is very low, and the crowd could not comprehend what was happening."
Lint ma'am. I've never heard of a lint ma'am. I take it that's not a typo.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I
know what he's talking about too. Basically, to narrow it down, he has someone who actually hops in the ring and has a lint roller and is basically rolling the lint off of his suit for him.
I mean, it would add to my image. I never had that in my plans, but I could. Hey, I'm open to try different things. A lint ma'am. I wonder how much they charge.
What's that?
Steve chimes in here and goes, I can say it's between both. I'm assuming that's with the different crowds thing.
Yeah.
Rich, Greek Savage wants to know, do you like the way I yelled at Dave LaGreca?
I always like when Dave LaGreca gets yelled at.
Ryan, this goes back to what you asked. He goes, they've been there, I think, in the past.
Okay. Oh, I think talking about Tom's River and whatnot.
Yeah. And then Greek Savage chimes in here and goes, ISPW stays busy, man, nonstop shows and bug future on the way. I guess he means big future.
He meant big future.
Right. I mean, I know Tommy's making moves with ISPW, and they've been around for a long time, but it seems to be growing. And, this year alone, he is on just a frenetic pace. So many shows are on the list. I mean, going till pretty much the end of the year. He's trying to do Rob Fury numbers as far as just popping out shows like popcorn, So, and I mean, he's extremely busy. I don't know how he sleeps.
Plus, he also has the store that he runs.
He's running, I mean, tons of shows. I mean, and yeah, he runs a superstore on a regular basis and has big names coming there. And then, he was working on the Saturday morning wrestling thing for a while. So, I mean, his morning, afternoon, and night has to be filled with just wrestling. I don't know how he has time to think about anything else.
I don't think he does, but I want to get to the show that was Friday night because obviously, like I said, I was there. I had it was a blast. First of all, I love what they do when every time you do the intros and the lights go out and it adds to the ambiance. I'm like, I've never seen that before in the 900 other shows I've been at.
Right.
But I think it's a fantastic thing, so I give Tommy a lot of credit for that. Let's get to the big match, the match that everybody was talking about going into, and that was the Steel Cage TLC match. Obviously, I was able to sit front row, so I actually have a little bit of a different point of view. But you being able to sit in that ring, with all the, as I call it, the toys, what was going through your head at that point?
It's just, it's always just an awesome feeling to be inside of a steel cage. I've done steel cage matches a handful of times, and there's always something special about them historically, dating way back. And when you're just standing there announcing inside the cage, it's going to be something special. And when you're announcing the names and the crowd is popping, you just feel something boiling in your blood. Like, man, this is different. And especially when you see the ladders and the chairs being tied to the top of the cage. I mean, it was like being in the middle of a big bomb that was about to explode. And it was just an awesome feeling.
If it was me, I would just sit there and go, okay, let me just do this announcement and get out of the ring before one of these chairs comes down and hits me.
Yeah, well, I knew they were pretty well tied.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too worried. I just was caught up in the moment.
But I want to get into that match because I think that whole match. I thought, obviously, I wasn't at the show beforehand when they had the regular steel cage, but I saw the match of it thanks to a good friend of ours, Rob Williams, for putting that video up there of the match. It was a fantastic match. This one, to me, I felt like it upped the antes a bit because it was like, okay, well, we almost killed each other in a regular steel cage. Well, let's just add some more toys to it.
Yeah.
And the one spot in the match that I'm still amazed at that Rick Recon was able to pull off was almost a redo of the spot from their last match, the table spot.
Yeah.
And instead of having Rick being on the table, it was actually Crowbar.
Right.
I mean, obviously you were there. How did you feel about that match?
I think it was, an absolute classic, and it's something I thoroughly enjoyed. And, they were in a tough position because this was a rematch of a classic. It's hard to follow up a classic, with another classic. And because, the first time people don't know exactly what to expect, but then sometimes that raises the expectations so high that it's hard to live up to. But I think it definitely lived up to that hype. And I think they did an amazing job both times. This is, by far maybe the most historic rivalry that ISPW has seen, certainly in recent years.
Oh yeah, and that's weird to think with indie wrestling that, because, and I was saying this earlier, with schedules and everything, it never works out. But when you think of ISPW and you think of the last 2-3 months, the biggest rivalry you think of is Crowbar and Rick Recon.
Yeah.
And you can't, and to think of that, and we're not talking like WWE or AEW, we're talking about ISPW, independent wrestling. Yeah. So I commend, not only do I commend Rick and I commend Crowbar, but I also commend Tommy for having the thought process to put this thing together, because I think it's paid off tremendously. And obviously at the show on Saturday, Rick will be going against Bull James for the ISPW World Heavyweight title. But actually, before we get to that, Ryan, do you have a question?
So I was actually going to bring that up, talking about 80s Wrestling Con. In the main event of the event, you got Bull James putting the title on the line against Rick Recon, which I completely forgot about this, with independent wrestling icon Ace Darling as the referee.
Yeah.
New York Giants Super Bowl champion Jay Alford, I think, as special ringside enforcer, and Dave LaGreca getting handcuffed to Maven.
Yes.
There's so much going on in this matchup in Morristown.
Yeah. That's, like you said, the thought process that Tommy puts into these matches. This is another example. This is something you don't hear of all the time. It's all in those little details that make something special.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Rick in the last couple of weeks is really starting to hit his stride now.
Oh yeah,
and he will have that crowd. I saw it in the match on Friday when, right, I'm not kidding you, the bell rings and you hear the crowd start. It was a split chant. Oh, let's go Rick Recon, let's go Crowbar, and they didn't even do anything.
Yeah,
you can see that. And also, because I actually have the card here for Morristown, if you gentlemen don't mind.
Not at all. I have it in front of me too.
So besides Bull James and Rick Recon with the 20,000 extra stuff that's happening in the match, you have in Triple Threat Tag Team action for the ISPW Tag Team Championships, the Now taking on the Powers of Pain and the Headbangers.
Yes.
Danny Morrison taking on Val Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Dango, a.k.a. Fandango, taking on Eugene.
Yes.
My boy, the Phoenix GKM, putting the ISPW Tri-State title on the line. It was originally supposed to be Brian Kendrick, but I think he pulled out for some sort of reason, but they found a replacement in the notorious 187 Homicide.
Yep, I've worked with Homicide before.
British Bulldog Jr., which I think it's Davey Boy Smith Jr., taking on Crowbar.
Yep.
A fatal five-way for the ISPW Women's Championship. Tina San Antonio takes on Vicious Vicky, Gabby Ortiz, Adina Steele, and Notorious Mimi.
That's going to be a good match.
Took the words out of my mouth.
A mystery WWE Hall of Fame legend takes on Justin Carino. Also, Snitsky taking on Alpha Jr.
Battle of the big boys.
It wasn't his fault. A special performance by the last match musical band Slavana Joyce and the Moment. Or Sylvana, sorry. And a ISPW Championship Rumble will be taking place. So a lot of stuff a lot of matches are happening this Saturday in Morristown, on top of the convention, which has, quite honestly, every 80s wrestling icon you can imagine, including the headliners, Sergeant Slaughter and Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yes. You had me sold on Bret the Hitman Hart, but Sergeant Slaughter, Dr. D, David Schultz, The Powers of Pain, Wendy Richter. I mean, talk about a female blast from the past. I mean, she is one of the WWE pioneers of women's wrestling. The rock and wrestling era. There's going to be just so many people there.
Also, want to mention also they're doing a Jeopardy. I think there was a Jeopardy 80s wrestling Jeopardy thing. I know they're going to be having a live Busted Open from the plays with Dave LaGreca and the aforementioned Daniel, Danny Morrison. And I know they're doing a red carpet thing with Bob Colch, with Rob Williams and Ray Calitri.
Yeah. With the fashion, he's going to be bringing back the wrestling fashion thing, and the red carpet that suits Rob Williams, perfectly.
I mean, Rich, you should be in the fashion thing. You're very fashionable.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll get, maybe they'll look at my outfit and think I'm worthy of some award. I don't know. I'm just there for the ride. I'm just there wherever they need me. I'm like a leaf in the wind,
Well, I look at it this way. You can do that and then have Maven do something, and then, you guys can have a thing there. But also I know
he'll rip me. He'll rip me to shreds no matter what.
I know they're also doing a humongous 80s a humongous 80s cosplay thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, definitely if you have the opportunity to get to Morristown, New Jersey this Saturday, I think doors open at 11 a.m. and it's going to be a day full of wrestling. You never know who you're going to see there. And actually, Ryan, I'm going to tell you right now, there's also going to be, and I'm doing this now because I can present the coffee. There's going to be some coffee there. Because Ryan, we have the table.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Oh, look at that!
So we're gonna party. We're gonna party all day long.
But Rich,
you're gonna be hyped up on caffeine.
Rich, I look at it this way. This is perfect because it starts so goddamn early.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm gonna need some too. I don't even drink coffee, but I'm gonna need some because it's gonna be going. Doors open at 11 a.m. I'm gonna get there before 11 a.m. and then it's gonna end. I don't know exactly what time.
I think the wrestling starts at 5 o'clock. I think.
The rock and wrestling show.
Yeah, I think from what I see, it starts at 5 o'clock.
Well, Rich, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm also going to put it out there. If I have the ability to have a plug near me at the table, not only are we going to be selling these fantastic coffees,
You'll be brewing them. You'll be brewing.
I'll be brewing that as well.
Save them just a cup for me, just one cup.
Don't worry, Rich, I got you.
And listen, Rich, if you like it, you can buy a bag. Just saying.
Hey, I'm not cheap.
It's an organic Sumatran blend, and just like you, I'm not really a coffee drinker either. But I actually tried it for the first time, like no milk, no cream, or nothing. That shit is smooth. I liked it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like coffee is like really grainy to me, like the taste.
I used to drink it years ago, but then I got switched off years ago. But now that since we have this, I kind of started drinking it again.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna need it. Like I'm gonna need it on Saturday. As much fun as I'm gonna have, I'm gonna need that coffee more than ever before. Last year was the same ordeal.
It's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah. Oh, beyond fun.
And all I know is I'm preparing to be there. I'm preparing to leave my house at 8 a.m. that day.
Right. Well, I forgot. I think you live in what was it, Long Island?
Yeah. I'm all the way. I'm a half hour past Ryan.
You're a half hour past Ryan. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one beautiful thing for me is that it's going to be a long ass day, but I live maybe 25, 30 minutes from Morristown, and there's going to be no traffic
Yeah, but
when I'm coming and when I'm going. So,
Rich, I look at it this way: leaving my house at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, there won't be any traffic.
right.
And then I'm going to stop at a Walmart beforehand because I want to make sure I have cups and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, guys, if you happen to be there, the Around the Ropes podcast table will have a table there. Come by, say hi. Definitely have the coffee. If you want me to sign something for whatever reason, I will sign it. But I'm putting it out there that we will be there this Saturday. And I'm also going to, hopefully, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I will also stay for the show. Because after what happened at the last show, I'm kind of hooked onto ISPW.
That's good, man. I hope to see you at a whole lot more of these things.
Oh,
And trust me, there's going to be plenty of opportunities.
I know there's a show that's happening in June, I think it is. Beginning of June?
Yeah, there's June.
I think June 2nd.
June 2nd, and then I can't think of the second date.
I think it's June 2nd is what I'm thinking because that's the one where Dwight Gooden's going to be at.
Yeah. Well, I know June 2nd, but then there's one after.
Oh, yeah. Rich, I will definitely be there because I think, honestly, ISPW to me has one of, and I say this about a lot of promotions, but I say this a lot, especially with ISPW. You get what your money is worth. Let me put it that way. You're good. I mean, it's the ticket is worth it. Trust me.
Right. And the crowd agrees with you because the crowd never leaves. It's almost the same crowd at the end of the show as the beginning of the show. And I'm not going to name names, but you don't get that with every company.
No. There's few of them that also you get to the main event. It's like, okay, I got to go home. But just want to get to some more comments here from Steve, who says, "Don't forget Ref Earl. The Ref Earl will be there."
Okay, he was on the flyer. I don't know exactly what happened.
And Steve also popped for the coffee. Yes.
Maybe Steve, I'll get addicted to your coffee. You'll be the one to get me in the coffee after I taste yours. Who knows?
It's not as strong as you think.
Yeah, yes. Most is.
No, but
the funny story, how we got this whole coffee thing, because it still amazes me now. We've had this coffee since, not this specific. This is the second batch. The first batch we had this whole concept started back in August of last year, and it's incredible that I can sit there and I have it right here on my desk where I do the show, and I take a glance. I'm like, wait a second, that's ours. I'm like, I don't know many podcasts that can turn around and say they have their own coffee.
Right. No, I don't know of any. Hey, Steve, that's an idea for us. The Rockabilly coffee. Has a nice ring to it. And then, Steve, he just posted dates for ISPW. Yeah, May 11th, 12th, 18th, 19th, 27th. I told just on this month alone.
Yeah.
Plus the 6th. He didn't even put the 6th in that list. So 6th, 11th, 12th, 18th, 19th, 27th. You have 2 pairs of consecutive nights, the 11th and the 12th, the 18th and the 19th. So it's a good time to be a fan of ISPW.
Like, totally. And I think we deal with a lot of the promoters on the show. And I've seen a lot of the promoters in action, but I got to give Tommy a lot of credit because he at shows, he's not one of these promoters who basically sits at a chair and does nothing.
No.
He's constantly running around trying to make sure everything's going good. But we got another comment coming in here from Steve saying, because you're talking about the 6. That's what
I know. No, I know. I didn't expect you to put the 6 in there. I'm just saying. Add the 6 to that list, and that's 6 shows in 1 month.
Hey,
think about that.
But you know what's funny though, Rich? It's worth it. You're not going to get 6 shows where you're going to sit there and go, oh, it's 9:45. When does the show end?
Right.
It's going to be 6 shows where you're going to sit there and go, the show's done. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Type of deal. But Ryan, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm actually good because basically all my questions were answered, especially about about this coming Saturday in Morristown.
Well, Rich, last thing I want to get to before we let you go is what you have coming up in June with celebrity boxing.
Yeah, celebrity boxing. We're going to be returning to Atlantic City. It's going to be on June 17th. And, celebrity boxing is always on the rise. And also in June, they're going to host the first ever fight in the metaverse featuring boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. I just did the second press conference in Newark, New Jersey. He's an absolute legend. He's going to be taking on bodybuilder NDO Champ, who is an absolute beast. I mean, he's the most swole, muscular guy I've ever seen up close, and he's only gets bigger every time I see him. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, if you have time and you love coming to Atlantic City, June 17th is the time to come because celebrity boxing will be there, and the crowds are always insane at a celebrity boxing. It's a different world, but it's a fun world, and there's professional wrestlers that fight on those cards too. So
you never know who you're going to see, and also whoever said no to going down to Atlantic City in June.
Oh yeah, with that weather, and the way they're just building things, and the showboat looks great. They added a water park, and they have bumper cars and all that stuff in there now. So yeah.
Well, Rich, I'm hoping to finally make the trip down there.
Yeah. Well, we've talked, and we'll talk a little bit more in the near future about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, guys, this Saturday happening in Morristown, New Jersey, is 80s Wrestling Con with such superstars. We mentioned it before: Bret the Hitman Hart, Sergeant Slaughter, Wendy Richter, Dr. D. David Schultz, and a plethora of other guys. And also, you never know who you're going to see walking around there. Just throwing it out there as well. But, Rich, before we let you go, where can the fans find you on social media?
Okay, I have my regular Rich Reed Facebook page. My public page is Rich Reed, the People's Voice on Facebook. It's under construction. I've been saying that for the last 2 years. But the real place to find me is on Instagram, at RichReed7. At RichReed7. I'm always posting there. Follow me. I'm doing tons and tons of shows with ISPW alone, but with celebrity boxing, other companies, be it SWF, UWA Elite, LTW, Pro Wrestling R, Shore Star Wrestling, just to name a few. So just follow me there. There is no shortage of action that you will find just looking at my page.
I totally agree with you. And again, Rich, you're always welcome on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe down the road with you and Steve and me and Ryan, we can do a crossover episode.
I know it's been cooking, and I'm looking forward to that. I know it'll happen one day. We just have to find the time. That's the key factor, time.
I totally agree on that. But like I said, Rich, you I don't even say you have an open invite. You become a friend of the show. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a friend to the Rockabilly podcast. I can't believe I'm like a regular podcast interviewer, man. We're brethren in just different ways now fellow interviewers and things like that. I am.
Yep. Even Steve agreed about doing a crossover. Steve, we'll talk about that offline, but Rich, again, always, it's great. It was great seeing you Friday. It'll be great seeing you. And again, folks, in case you missed it, there will be coffee sold this Saturday because it's also going to be early as o'clock. When this thing gets going, you might want to stop by.
Guys, that's awesome. I'm definitely going to try some. And like I said, I think I'm going to need to.
Absolutely. Rich, I got you on that. Don't worry about it. But Rich, again, thank you so much for hopping on.
Guys, thank you so much, man. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you guys at the show on Saturday at the convention, 80s Wrestling Con, Morristown, New Jersey. Men in sports.
You won't see me there. I got an event in Connecticut that day, unfortunately. You'll see John, though.
Okay, you'll be there in heart. That's fine. I know I'll see you around. I know I'll see you around sometime this year.
Yeah, I got an MMA event up in Connecticut that night, so I'll miss 80s on.
Right. Okay. Yeah. MMA is awesome. Yeah. I just started with Muay Thai. Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, those are
Martial
fun.
arts is awesome.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention that you started the Muay Thai
Yeah.
stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Los Muay Thai. They're a new Muay Thai company, and they were at the UFC gym in Mamaroneck not even a month ago, and it was one of the most electric crowds I've ever seen. It's just a whole different vibe, and they're trying to do big things. They're trying to put on kickboxing and MMA events as well, just different parts of the spectrum for martial arts. So look out for Los Muay Thai. They're definitely on the rise.
Definitely, that's one thing I definitely want to check out one day is Muay Thai. It's different. I know that, so it'd be something I'd love to check out at some point. But Rich,
next time I have one, I'm definitely gonna let you know about it. Like I say, it is electric.
Absolutely. I will definitely make the trip for that one. But Rich, again, thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate it, big time.
Hey guys, be well. Talk
too,
to you soon. Thank you.
Have a good one, Rich. See you Saturday, buddy.
Yep. See you then, bro.
Guys, that was Rich Reed. One of the. It's not there's so many ways I can describe Rich. He's on the. As I say, he's on the Mount Rushmore of indie ring announcers.
In the tri-state area.
In the tri-state area, yes. I want to definitely stress that part. But again, guys, I said it before, I'll say it again. We do have our own coffee. And I want to also mention this part. Saturday at the show, we will be taking Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and I'm also going to have the Square thing. Not the actual Square, but Ryan, like how you guys had a big event.
The Square app.
The Square app, yes, thank you. And by the way, folks,
he got that from me.
But let's keep things. Hold on.
Before we keep things rolling, I do actually want to point something out right now. I forgot to mention earlier in the broadcast about the.
Oh no, Steve, that's a I think that's Anakin. Yeah, that's an Anakin Skywalker. Actually, it is Darth Vader, but the early days.
One more quick thing about the mainstream wrestling. On behalf of myself and John and Costa from the new ATR network, we want to give a huge congratulations to Corey Graves and Carmella for the announcement of Carmella's pregnancy.
Yes.
I want to point out because earlier today, a video was released from WWE on how the announcement was made to Carmella's stepkids, which are Corey's kids, and the way they did it was absolutely incredible. With with each of the kids getting a new pair of Nikes, and there's a little box of Nikes in there, the size of a kid, the size of a baby, and I thought that was really clever, and I loved it.
And also, I completely agree with you, and I also want to mention the other thing. There was an interesting stat that came out that you look at Becky Lynch. I'm trying to think who was it? Becky Lynch, Carmella, and Lacey Evans all share one big thing in common.
They all party with Ric Flair. No, I'm just kidding.
They all worked with Asuka. Moving on.
Does that mean Bianca's next?
No, isn't she working with Chelsea?
Bianca Belair?
No, isn't Asuka working with Chelsea right now?
But didn't Bianca just work Asuka at WrestleMania?
Yeah. Yeah, give it time. It's going to happen.
Give it time. We got a couple more quick things we'll talk about before we end the show tonight, and that is the events that you and I were both at. So let's start off with yours.
Okay. I made the trip up for Immortal Championship Wrestling as they presented Road to Immortality this past Saturday over in Rome, New York, in I think it was called the John F. Kennedy Sports Arena. Was the name of I
remember as
the Kennedy Arena. I'm going to say this right now. I've never been to a show before where I freeze my ass off. Because it was literally on a hockey rink. I'm not kidding you.
Well, when I went, it wasn't a hockey rink. It was more of a roller rink, per se.
No, this one was hockey.
Oh, this one was hockey? Oh, shit.
They had, and I give Mike King a lot of credit.
Actually, folks, I'll be right back. I need a refill, so John, keep talking.
Steven chimes in and goes, okay, never mind. I thought you were saying that they all shared being pregnant working for W. No, Steve, it was just the fact that they've all worked with Asuka and then they've gotten pregnant. I'm just pointing out there. But Immortal Championship Wrestling presented their show this past weekend. And folks, if you have not had a chance to go check Immortal Championship Wrestling out, I highly recommend you do. They put on, and I said this before with ISPW, I'm going to say the same thing with Immortal. They put on great shows. This whole card only had 5 matches. The main event was their Rumble match, which was a 29-man Rumble where the winner became the new Immortal Championship Wrestling champion. So I want to get to what happened on the opening part of the card. Garrett Halliday retained his Northeast Championship. Kayla Sparks retained her Women's Championship, which, by the way, I give Kayla a lot of credit. She has held that title for over 300 days, so congratulations to her on that.
And again, Garrett, thank you for what you did to John on Saturday.
Would you like to tell the story? Okay, I'll tell the story. So at the show, now, folks, like we said before, I went to ISPW on Friday. Ryan obviously was at Invictus. He saw Garrett and basically told Garrett that when he sees me at Immortal to flip me off. So I'm sitting over by the commentators area, and Garrett comes up, realizes it's me, puts his hand on my shoulder and goes, how you doing, everything. I ask him how he's feeling. And next thing I know, he turns around and goes, oh, yeah, Ryan, when we do this, and then he flips me off. I'm like, I walk in, I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him.
Thank you, Garrett. I appreciate it.
But no, the first half of the card basically was done by 8 o'clock. Mind you, the first half of the show.
Oh, yeah.
The show started at 7.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was done by 8. Then they had intermission. Then they had the Rumble match itself. Now, the whole premise of this was the winner became the new Immortal Championship Wrestling champion, heavyweight champion, because the previous champion, Bill Collier, had to relinquish the title. Not because of injury, though. And I'll stress that right now. So, all of a sudden, the final 3. Now, mind you, going into this match, Skyros announced that he was going to be number 1, but Skyros also announced that if he was not able to win, that he would not return to Immortal Championship Wrestling. The final 3 were Mike Skyros, Blaze Haram, and Ben Hameen. That was your final 3. Now, Ryan, obviously you were not there. Would you like to take a guess of who came out victorious?
Oh, I know who came out victorious because you told me how it ended. And who
would that be?
So first of all, Blaze, from what I told, Blaze got eliminated by Skyros?
Yes.
And Skyros got eliminated, which means that your new Immortal Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion is praised to be Allah Akbar himself, Ben Hameen. Amen.
Now you realize one thing. The tag titles and the World Heavyweight title are on probably the most dangerous tag team in all of Immortal Championship Wrestling. Because you know damn well, even if it's a singles match, you know damn well Blaze is going to interfere, is going to get involved in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Ben will be an honest champion.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Ben will be an honest, trustworthy champion.
Exactly. But I personally love the fact that they put the title on Ben. Because not only do I think he's going to have a great run with that title,
oh, absolutely.
The promos the two of them are going to cut now that they have all the titles, in essence. I could already see it because Ben already said it at the end of the last show. He goes, I'm God now. I'm like, oh, shit.
Exactly. Oh, shit is right.
But with him, though, because he's a veteran, and also, folks, he's also somebody else who we actually had the luxury of interviewing on here a couple months ago. Definitely go back and watch that video on our YouTube channel. which folks, again, if you watch us on YouTube, go hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. He's going to, whoever takes the title off of him, if it is Bill Collier later on when Bill comes back, or if it happens to be one of the other guys on that roster, he's going to make it mean something. I'll tell you right now, whoever he does end up facing is going to become an instant babyface.
Oh, agreed.
Because of the fact that, I mean, I remember at the show, the entire where I was standing, everybody had American flags. And as soon as, because Bid and Blaze have this, obviously, they have the same music, they're a tag team champion, or tag team. As soon as you hear that music, you want to talk about getting heat? Oh, the heat that they got was incredible. But overall, I mean, I loved the show. It was a good show. It was an interesting venue, to say the least. It was definitely an interesting venue, and I will definitely be back up for another show over the summer. Because just not only that, but also the crowd up there, Ryan. I mean, you know it for a fact. You know, you've been up there before. Mm-hmm. The crowd up there is something to behold.
Oh yeah, they're passionate.
Not only are they passionate, they're not as rowdy though as Jersey fans are.
No, because no disrespect towards Jersey fans sometimes, but the fans up there actually have a thing called respect.
Yeah, and also, just want to mention here, I have another show coming up in May. SWF, as Steve just mentioned here, is doing a double shot May 13th.
I did see that on May. Actually, I'll get to May 13th in a hot second.
But yeah, folks, you're not going to want to miss that. And I think that's also their debut of their women's show. If I remember
yes, the 2 o'clock is the women's show, and their main show is at, actually, I think before that. I think it's at 5 o'clock. I think. Yeah,
but definitely go if you get the chance to go check out SWF. It's run by Rob Fury, guys. I think Ryan, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this. When you think about promoters, Rob Fury is like one of the top on that list.
I would say that, yeah.
He's one of the better promoters out there. Yeah, does he have some people who may not like him? Absolutely, but honestly, I feel like
it's wrestling. Who doesn't?
Exactly. But
and also with Immortal Championship Wrestling, their next 2 events is on Saturday, June 3rd, and I think July 8th, which is their biggest show, which I think it's Immortal Things 4, I think they're calling it.
Oh, okay. Steve just mentioned here he works for Rob Fury.
Okay. But yeah, like I said, June 3rd and July 8th are their next 2 events. Maybe I'll be up there, one or both of them. Who knows? Mike King, if you're listening, I'm available.
And also, I'll tell you right now, if you go up for there, you know damn well I'm coming for the ride.
Who said I was inviting you?
Really?
I mean, worst case scenario, I can just add a chair to the top of my car.
Or just give me a pillow. I can fall asleep in the back seat.
I can see. No. You go on the roof. You go on the roof with a tie down chair. I can see you going up 95, going attack.
Or you can just see me doing that, and you just see me doing this, going.
Pretty much. Meanwhile, you're driving by, you see the trooper going, "What the fuck is that up there?"
And then all of a sudden, I see I hear the lights going off. I'm like, what happened? And also you look at me, you go, "We got pulled over." I go, "Was it because I was snoring?" I mean, now, my folks up in that area, I'm talking Schenectady, Albany, up in that area.
That's the Catskills. Let's call it what it is. It's the Catskills.
When you're up there at night, it's pitch fucking black up there.
Uh-huh.
I was coming down the throughway coming home on Saturday. I said, "Oh, let me see what it looks like without the lights on." I shut the lights off on my car. I'm like, "Nope, turn that shit back on."
Bad idea. Although I will say, though, to throw it back a little bit, I remember when the last time I went up there, we drove by a place I actually haven't been to in a long time called Howe Caverns. Howe Caverns is basically a massive underground salt mine.
Yes.
And I remember, God, years ago, I think it was still there. They have a motel on site where if you literally just stick the chairs, they have Adirondack chairs, and you sit on the chairs, You can actually look out to the mountain range, and especially if it's a gorgeous night, oh, dude, the view is incredible.
Steve puts it up perfectly here.
Exactly.
That's why, folks, if you're driving up there, not only do I recommend you put your lights on, throw your hazards on as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just remember that trip that we did coming back from St. Johnsville.
Which part? The part where I fell asleep?
At 11 o'clock at night.
What time did we get back that night? I don't remember.
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Actually, earlier than that because it was me driving, so you know how I drive.
But anyway. I think that's what made it different, though. Again, I love going up there. Don't get me wrong, but when you can split, when it's other people driving, it's actually you don't have to keep things going. But overall, I love the show. I was a great show, great atmosphere. Mike, I definitely will be back again. Whatever you need help with, I'll even take a bump in the ring.
No.
You know what I'll do? I'll become the first person who have to take the title for Ben.
No.
I kid.
I'll give him $5.
You realize that happens. I'd be the one if let's say that happens and all of a sudden Mike calls me and goes, yeah, you're gonna go up against Ben for the title. I'll be the one in the ring as soon as Ben comes out. Also, you see me hop over the top rope and run out like I'm the Road Runner. Also, you sit there and go, I never knew John could run that fast.
Seriously, I never seen John run, period. But besides the Immortal Championship Wrestling, let me quickly talk about the other show that I was at.
Yes, Wrestle Pro.
Yes, the Wrestle Pro. As we presented Anarchy.
You didn't even hear what I just said.
I didn't hear a freaking word you said because,
I said, we're leaving the best for last.
Oh, shucks. So anyway, which, by the way, folks, you can catch Wrestle Pro on the brand new Premier Streaming Network. I highly recommend subscribing to that channel because they got some great content as well as some amazing live events coming up, which actually they just announced in September in Metuchen, New Jersey. It is the Wrestling Showcase coming back on September the 9th. And, yes?
I have a question for this showcase happening September 9th. Did they happen to announce who is being the ring announcer for that?
No.
They haven't?
Not yet. They haven't announced it yet, but...
Ryan, Steve knows who you are.
Have we? Steve, I'm sorry if I don't remember you, man. I'm so sorry, dude. You know what? Especially in Rahway, I meet a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently that's where he's met you at Raw. Never mind.
In Rahway.
Yeah, apparently I cannot speak tonight.
Yeah, it's okay. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. But yes, it's the Premier Streaming Network Wrestling Showcase and the Squared Circle Expo. Squared Circle Expo going to Metuchen at the Metuchen Sportsplex. First and second row tickets come. Actually, no. Let me quickly backtrack a little bit. If you are a Premier Plus, and this is why I keep saying, subscribe to the Premier Streaming Network because they got some great content, including Wrestle Pro Alaska. They got the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast on there. CCW, MCW. They got a whole slew of promotions on there. Trust me. It's giving Fight TV a run for their money. But if you are a Premier Plus member, annual subscriber, then your pre-sale will start on May 16th.
So next week.
No, the week after.
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Whereas for the general public, the reason why I'm saying if you're a Premier Plus annual subscriber, which again I highly recommend, you get access, and first and second row tickets come with the access to the expo earlier that day. And for those that aren't Premier annual subscribers, first of all, what is wrong with you? I'm just kidding. Second of all, tickets for those will go on sale to the general public on May the 23rd. And trust me, I highly recommend you get your tickets for this event because I heard through the rumblings of what's going to be happening. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good. But anyway, back to Wrestle Pro that night. So we kicked it off with a few pre-show matches, which again are on the Premier Streaming Network. We did a kickoff. I forgot who was in the first match. I know one of them was Stevie J versus Bobby Bishop. Bobby Bishop from the 907 Wrestling Academy up in Alaska. Yes, you heard that correctly. I said Alaska. Then it was tag team action as Skylar Mack and Brandon Downey took on the team of El Magnifico and Tyler Mann, who is actually a brand new, who actually made his pro wrestling debut that night because he's a student at the Creator Pro Jersey Wrestling Academy. Phenomenal job, by the way. And then in the final pre-show match, it was a 6-man tag match as Brian Rosario and the Rat Bastards, Xander Torres and Adam Kirkland, took on the debuting Primal Fear, where for some of you hardcore wrestling fans, if that name sounds familiar, it's the trios that was originally in Ring of Honor for a few years.
Wow.
Which is, I believe, Matthew Oman, Adrian Soriano, and I am so sorry if I'm forgetting the last name. But based off the reaction, Primal Fear will be coming back to Wrestle Pro. So then we kicked off the main card with singles action, as originally it was supposed to be Cheeseburger taking on Justin Carino. Unfortunately, Justin Carino had to pull out due to personal issues. I don't know what it is. That's what I was told. But it ended up being Cheeseburger versus Matt Hayter, who hails from Adelaide, South Australia. Been a great matchup between the two. Then the next matchup was a triple threat match as Yusufer L took on Colton Charles and some guy named Crowbar. Which, by the way, folks, Crowbar was walking after the TLC match. Colton Charles was victorious in that matchup. Then after that, in singles action, we had Zach Clayton taking on Pat Buck, which Zach Clayton was victorious. In tag team action, we have the Ace of Space Academy, GKM, and Max St. Giovanni taking on the team of, as one of the commentators, Dave Sturcio, called them, one of the baldy bastards themselves, two of the balding bastards themselves, Trax and Victor Benjamin. And Trax and Victor Benjamin was victorious. Also, as you know, after the match, Trax and Victor Benjamin got a little verbal with Dave Sturcio. Almost got a little altercation there. Who knows what's brewing there? Possibly Sturcio returning to the ring? Who knows? And then next up in singles action, it was Sean Donovan taking on Anthony. Taking on Anthony. And yes, folks, the name is spelled Anthony, but it's all lowercase. Basically, it's a student at Wrestle Pro who's been featured on events and has been losing for the last year. However, Anthony defeated Sean Donovan and pretty much got a pop bigger than when Santino Marella won the IC title in Milan, Italy. And then we go to a first-time ever matchup for the Wrestle Pro Silver Championship. The current champion, Falaba, taking on Dark STG in a casket match.
I have a question before you get in. How big was the casket?
It was big. It was custom made.
Oh, jeez.
It wasn't one of those like standard, caskets that you see at funeral homes and whatnot. This was actually custom made, and I love it. Which Dark STG was victorious and is now the new Wrestle Pro Silver Champion. So then we come back from intermission, and in a number one contenders match, it was Bobby Wayward taking on CPA, and CPA was victorious. Then for the Wrestle Pro Tag Team Championships, the team of, whoever did this, whoever added this in is whoever fills in the information for Cage Match. I'm sorry, their team is no longer called Bear Country. It's called the Iron Savages. But as they took on Dante Drago and Jack Tomlinson, Vlogbro University, VBU, and the Iron Savages were victorious and regained their tag team titles. Then, for the Wrestle Pro Women's Championship, the current champion herself, Lady Frost, took on Dasha, also known as Dasha Fuentes from AEW. Great matchup between the two. Never really, I think this is Dasha's first wrestling match in about almost a year and a half, 2 years. And she did great. And then, folks, we get to the main event. Oh! And me personally, I have never announced a match like this in my entire career. Because this matchup was a triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match between the Bayonne Badass, and I can say this on here, the King of the fucking North, Danny Moff, taking on the then Wrestle Pro Gold Interim Champion, LSG, and the Wrestle Pro Gold Champion, Dion Rusman. What happened? Little backtrack here, how this came to fruition. LSG and Dion Rusman were supposed to have a unification match back in March. Danny Moff decided to stick his nose in and ruin the match, thus, letting all the shit go to waste. And then Dion gets on the mic and says, "You know what? You want this so badly? Gio," and called him by his real name, shoot name, "Gio, we're gonna do this. We're adding Moff into the mix. Tables, ladders, and chairs." So that's how we came into the fruition on this one. Now, towards the end, you see Danny Moff climbing the ladder, taunting while his other brethren, Trax and Victor Benjamin, come out. They pull out LSG. They're sitting there talking, going, "Look at him, over the title, look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him." Ah! That was mostly Morris Victor Benjamin. But all of a sudden, here comes the Ace of Space Academy attacking Trax and Victor Benjamin, and Colton Charles comes in, pulls Moff off the ladder, and beats the ever-loving shit out of him, almost literally out of the building, leaving Dion Rusman to come in. By himself. As Dion is climbing the ladder, the lights go off. A vignette is shown on the screen, a masked vignette by 5 individuals. And then all of a sudden the lights go on. 5 masked individuals come in, and they're beating the ever-loving hell out of Dion Rusman. But all 5 of them had one thing in common. They had the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy New York tank tops on.
Little Civil War possibly brewing.
That's what it looks like to me, which kind of puts me in a pickle because I announced for both companies. Just saying.
We'll split you in half.
That'd be great. So after the 5 individuals beat the hell out of Dion, as Dion is laying there looking up at the lights, whose music hits? But the Dominican destroyer, Vargas. Because Vargas was the holder of the on-the-spot medallion that he won last year, which guarantees him a title shot for any of the Wrestle Pro titles that he can cash in at any time, any place. And him and his new manager, Chris Robinson takes Ref Steve Domingue, pulls him over towards me, hands me the medallion, says he's cashing in, which makes it official. He is now added into the TLC match. Vargas gives Dion one final powerbomb for good measure, climbs the ladder, and retrieves the belt. And now Vargas is the new WrestlePro Gold Champion. And yes, Steve, I agree 100% on that one.
Steve also mentions here that he would have been at the show on Saturday, but he was on call for the fire department in Advil. It's the same spot as...
Not Anvil.
Avenel.
You said Anvil.
It's me we're talking about.
It's me. Hi.
Okay, T-Swift. But
folks, what a hell of a show. There was chaos. There was ladders destroyed, tables broken. Two new champions crowned, and it's like, holy shit.
When's the next WrestlePro show?
TBD. Because the one thing about WrestlePro, they don't run in the building in the summer because the building does not have air conditioning.
Oh, shit.
But from what I'm hearing, I think they're going to be going back to Union at the Knights of Columbus during the summer, more likely in July.
Thanks, Steve.
So I think more likely in July. As of right now, they're going to Georgia, but we'll see what happens. But I think probably in July, maybe beginning of August, they're going to be going to because also during the summer they do festivals and whatnot. So, but I think they're going back to September 8th in Rahway.
Oh wow, okay.
But they'll be doing stuff. They'll be doing stuff in between.
Last thing I want to get to, on the independent stuff before we wrap up the show. I have to send a huge congratulations out to a former guest on the show. Now, Ryan, do you know who I'm referring to?
No, because we have too many of them.
Intern Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Outcast, however you know him, officially became a Titan this past Saturday. After he went for weeks, and he was even on this show, right when the whole, the signature thing, the petition was happening, and Billy Fetsky made it official Saturday. So congratulations to Jay on becoming officially a Titan this past Saturday. Hopefully you don't have to take on Vince Series, because I think they'll have to scrape you off the floor. But obviously, folks, like I mentioned before, we got 80s WrestleCon happening this Saturday. Ryan, what do you have this weekend?
Okay, so this weekend in Connecticut, I am back on the mic with Reality Fighting MMA, live from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut, with a massive card of grappling and MMA action. Next weekend, I cannot believe it's next weekend already. I'm so freaking excited for this. It's Creator Pro Wrestling's Homecoming. Now, John, I know you'll be there because the day the tickets went on sale, I told you to get them immediately, and boy, did I tell you to get them in time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that shit sold out in 3 hours. To the fact that a week later, they actually somehow reconfigured seats and added more, and those seats were gone in an hour.
Now, I have one question to ask for this show.
Yes.
If you cannot get tickets, can you watch it live?
Why, yes, you can, because this past weekend, it was announced that you can actually watch the event live and free on, let me pull it up to make sure I'm saying the correct channel on Twitch.
Is it the Major Figures Pod channel?
I want to be sure.
Okay.
I want to be sure. Yes, on the Major Pod Network's Twitch channel.
Now, if I remember correctly here, now I was hit in the head many times, so, you know.
I mean, probably.
I forget things. I was also dropped in my head as a child. Isn't there also supposed to be some wrestler there who's better than you?
Yes. Yes. So, making his return to the place that started him all is someone who is a Creator Pro alum, a world-renowned traveler, happens to be from the greatest place in the entire world, Long Island, New York, more specifically, Plainview, Long Island, New York. He is the devil himself. He's better than you, and you know it. And, he is the current AEW World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
The man who will probably also roast you in the ring. What? Right, what am I kidding? He's going to roast me, too.
You deserve it, though.
Why do I deserve it?
It's you.
What? Should I walk up and go, "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem"?
Yeah, he'll gladly answer, "Yes, you are a problem."
But it would also be nice for one other thing. It's the first show that I'll be going to in 2023 that's actually on Long Island.
That is true. And it's close.
Which is going to be funny because it's going to be the first time I'm going to sit there and go, wait, I have a half-hour commute. I'm there?
For me, it's 15. Which is also in my old hometown of Melville, New York. So it's kind of, ironically, the name is called Homecoming because I feel like I'm coming back home.
And then
let me tell you about a few matches that actually were announced for this event.
Go right ahead.
So besides MJF, we're gonna be having a legend in the building by the name of Raven.
Oh.
And on that night, there's a matchup there's two individuals that have been going at it for months. And I think this is going to end it once and for all, as the Silver Sniper, TJ Crawford, takes on, now he's calling himself this, Dirty Bulk Bronson in a Ravens Rules street fight.
Basic translation, somebody's going to probably get killed.
Somebody's going to die. And then, for the Creator Pro Mayhem medal, we have the sweeper, Eddie Preventi, taking on the current Creator Pro Mayhem medal holder, Evil Kip, in a lumberjack match. And then just announced after defeating Jack Tomlinson on Cap TV, which, by the way, you can catch it on YouTube every single Monday night at 7 p.m. on the Creator Pro Wrestling YouTube page. The one-lunged angel and current Creator Pro champion, Bryce Donovan, will challenge the Creator Pro interim champion, Vargas, in a championship unification match.
So basically, Vargas is going to kill him.
I am not at liberty to say because I honestly do not know.
Oh, okay.
Also, we have a few special guests. We have a few other special guests coming in. We don't know what they're doing yet, but based off the said poster, graphic that was released, we have the lead singer of professional wrestling, Eric James, the Creator Pro Television champion himself, Bobby Orlando, the son of the sun, Leo Sparrow, the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers, also someone by the name of the Notorious Mimi, and how about former TNA Knockouts champion Angelina Love?
Talking about the match with Bronson and Crawford for a second.
Yes.
Trying goes, someone's gonna be lying flat in the box.
Yeah, you could say that.
But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be nice. And I'm going to do the traditional wrestling meal beforehand. Ryan, you know what that is, right?
We don't have Wawas on Long Island.
No, better than Wawa.
Sorry, Jersey folks.
You know what? You have no idea what I'm even talking about.
Oh, I do. I know what you're talking about.
What?
You're getting a deli sandwich.
You bet your bottom dollar I am.
Bet your bottom dollar? What are we, fucking Annie right now?
Because I'm doing what most people...
Tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar. Well, what the fuck, man? We're not Nanny.
Because, folks, I'm treating myself to the lovely world of Benz's Deli to get an authentic Jewish food.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I had a comment. I don't know if I'm allowed. Oh, get the fuck off my screen then.
Okay, what were you going to say?
He's going to have authentic meat in his mouth.
Yes.
Yes, I know you are. What am I?
Hey, take one to no one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have anything else to talk about.
I hope not.
But this was a fun show tonight.
Absolutely. A lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about. I want to thank both Alphonse for joining us. Talking about Invictus.
Hold on. I want to quickly explain that story first, of how the Allahu Akbar came into play.
All right,
So it was the last time I was at Titan Championship Wrestling, and Alphonse is on commentary. At Titan, it was myself and David Adams co-announcing the show. I see Alphonse on commentary. I'm walking by, and it was during one of your favorite wrestlers' matches, Blaze Haram, walking by Alphonse. I stop. I turn to him in the most like calm face ever, and Alphonse looks at me, and I'm sitting there going, and then walks away. He takes the headphones off, and he's fucking dying hysterically on the table, on the floor, crying. Because he never thought that would come out from me.
And
he's like nonchalant, just like walking by like, and I go back to walking.
All right, you're good like that because you got me a few times.
Oh, I know I have.
But I also want to thank Rich Reed for joining us, friend of the show. You can catch him emceeing and on ring announcing this weekend for ISPW as they present their 80s Wrestling Con. I think it's the show itself is called Rockin'.
I think it's like a Rockin' Wrestling Con, I think.
Something like that, but it's going to be a fun show with the main event being Rick Recon versus Bull James for the ISPW World Heavyweight Championship with Dave LaGreca handcuffed to Maven.
Usually some people pay extra for that.
And hold on, looks like we got one more thing. Wow!
You know what? That explains a lot. That explains why he walks funny.
Wow, Steve. Wow.
Was there salt in that cucumber?
Well, on that note,
welcome to ATR Late Night.
I want to thank Alphonse. Want to thank Rich Reed. For everybody who commented tonight, definitely appreciate that. What was one more? You can catch the video You can catch video on replay anytime you want, and you can also catch this show and a few other interviews. I know I'm kind of backed up with the interviews right now, but we have a few interviews that are going to be coming up not only on the YouTube side of things, but also on the podcast side of things. Definitely go there. Definitely check us out. Hit the subscribe button. And guys, we are going to head out now. We'll catch you guys next week with the recap from Ryan with his MMA stuff, the recap of me going to ISPW, and then we'll preview the big event coming up next weekend. But again, for everybody who commented, thank you very much for commenting. Appreciate it a lot. Again, Ryan, this was a fun show, but I think it's best we sign off right now.
I agree. Before shit hits the fan.
In the words of Billy Joel, life's a set of hellos and goodbyes. Unfortunately, folks, it is time to say goodbye. Catch you guys next week. Same time, same channel.
Buy your coffee.
Damn it.